Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 138, Furious 7, Lap 7. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by LovingMemoryStore.com. There's no better comfort to keeping the memory of your loved one or close friend alive than proudly showing the world who they are and how much they meant to you, other than their custom digital photo t-shirts and products, which in loving memory to memorials, birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, family reunions, youth sports, and more. Thank you, LovingMemoryStore.com.
Well, thank you, Loving Memory Store, and welcome to Furious 7. I feel like, Joe, we need a term. Like, we're in Lap 7, and this is Furious 7. We're about to be at a point where, like, it no longer really applies, although maybe, I don't know. But I feel like this is significant only so far as to say it's the 7th time we're watching the 7th movie, right? Like, I feel like there's a symmetry there about something, and I don't know what we should call it, but Lap 8 will have Fate. When 9 comes out, we'll have it in Lap 9. Maybe by the time we get to Lap 10, 10 will be out. Who knows? But we should have thought of this, you know.
What did KFC called, like, the sadness sandwich?
The Double Down?
Yeah, we should have the KFC Double Down movie of the week.
It's the Double Down. Okay, cool. I'm on board. So this is the Double Down. Welcome to the Double Down, Lap 7, Furious 7. Yeah. After the break, we will have Nico and Kevo joining us to talk about Furious 7. But Joe, extracurricular activities, and this is a weird one. We split our time recording this episode over 2 nights, so like even less time to have done anything else of significance. But what have you been up to since we last talked?
We watched the new Borat movie when it came out.
Oh, can we talk about that next time?
Why, have you not seen it yet?
I'm watching it tonight.
Okay, we'll talk about it next time when you watch it. I was scared to watch it because although I know it's a comedy, I was scared that I would be sad by what I saw.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
Because, you know, he deals with a lot of stupid people.
In positions of power,
and he gets their genuine reactions to things, and he catches people candidly saying very off-the-wall type shit. He did a good job of keeping it light. That's all I'm going to say.
What I have seen, and maybe you can confirm this, is that it shows like the absolute worst of things, but in a way that is both somehow optimistic and hopeful.
Yes. That's what I was...
Which
I was
feels
scared that
very difficult to do.
It's super hard to do, and I was worried that I was going to watch it and just get more depressed about everything. Honestly, it did a really good job, and like it kept me laughing. My fears of what it might have turned into were calmed. So.
Okay, cool.
Other than that, nothing. We made some pizzas. Oh, I have like an interesting pizza update.
Go for it.
You know, there's a lot of famous pizza places around. One of the ones that we like to go to that we've actually been like jonesing for a lot lately is this place called Sally's. It's very famous. It's always like in the top 10 of like best pizza places in the country. Like my normal go-to at any pizza place is order like a large extra cheese, right? Like that's just standard. That's what I want. And the first time I went there, I said, "Oh, can I get a large extra cheese?"
Wait, is this pizza or is this a Beats?
It's a Beats.
Okay.
For sure.
Because I googled it just to see like what was up, and like it's literally called Sally's a Pizza, Italian restaurant in New Haven, Connecticut. Okay.
I asked them for extra cheese, and the old guy that was taking my order goes, "You don't want extra cheese." And I was like, "What?" He was like 1.5 at the most, and I was like, "Okay, then 1.5, sure." I got it, and I was like, "This is really good, but like, there's not a lot of cheese on it, you know? Like that kind of sucks." And like, I like cheese on my pizza, but for some reason, like during quarantine, Rachel and I have been like really jonesing for this, and we always get it with extra cheese, like double, but it's still like less than a regular amount of cheese at any other pizza place. So I thought they were just being stingy. You know, like that's my least favorite part about this place. But it's good, and the sauce is really good. So I was like, okay, cool. We've been eating a lot of that, and I was like, Rachel, when we made a pizza, I was like, let's try to like, you know, get closer to that. She's like, okay. So we were like looking up how to like do sauces, and their sauce is like very, very simple. Okay. It's like tomatoes, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of oregano. That's it. It's like the mildest things. Like we even put like 3 cloves of garlic in for like a can of tomatoes, and it was like too much garlic. And we love garlic, right? Like, sure. So I made a bunch of pizza dough, but like I had 2 pizzas out worth, and we made one, and we were like, oh, cool, like we could put extra cheese on it, finally. So we put extra cheese on one, and we were like, this is all right, but it's not that great. So I'm like, Rachel, you know what? Let's try to do the thing. Oh, the other thing is like they don't cook the pizza sauce. They just mix the garlic and the oregano in it.
Oh, so the only time it ever cooks is when the pizza's actually cooking.
Yes. Precisely, you're getting there. Because they, like a lot of these places claim, like, you know, canned tomatoes are already stewed. They're already cooked. Like, you don't need to cook down the sauce. We cooked it down a little bit because it's super watery when you do it like that, right? Like it's like really wet. So I was like, okay, let's do another really thin pizza like they do, because they do really thin pizzas. I was like, let's do like another really thin pizza, but let's put like just like a little bit of cheese on it. Like let's put like their amount of cheese on it, where it's like you still get sauce like through it. Like the cheese doesn't even cover the entire sauce. We did that. We cooked it. We were like, this is fucking it. We're idiots. Like you need to leave space for the wetness of the sauce to cook off and the oven to roast the sauce. And if you put too much cheese on it, you don't ever accomplish that, and the pizza's very wet. And I was like mind blown. I was like, this guy was 1,000% right. I'm a fucking idiot. I was like on this dude talking shit about how he never gives me extra cheese on my pizza for how many times now? He's just right. He's just 1,000% right. And like they're known for their just like straight sauce like tomato pies, like with no cheese.
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, of course they are. Like this makes so much more sense now. And I'm an idiot. I'm sorry, Sally's, for ever doubting you. You were 1,000% right, and I'm the idiot. A sprinkling, like a spritz of cheese, is the right amount when you're doing thin crust, trying to showcase the sauce, and it's very wet. That's the right way to do it. So
Cool.
that's what I learned this past couple of days.
Important. Good update. Good update. I like it. Anything else of note? Any more amazing race updates?
We started watching season 3, and there's like a set of model twins, and everybody keeps calling them Double Mint, and I thought that was very enjoyable.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, they're like two handsome mid-20-year-old male twins that are models, and it's like, so like everybody's like fucking Double Mint back there, and you're like, perfect. That's the right name for it. So good on you guys. But no, we're still in season 3 right now.
We had a really weird national fetishization of twins in like the 90s and early 2000s, like with Double Mint. Was it Coors? Like the Here's to Football, like the whole and twins thing. Like it just, like I get the appeal kind of, but it's also
Dude,
like,
Where's My Car? We saw it in Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah,
too.
you think about it, it's a little weird.
And like all these people are like, hey, I want to have a relationship with twins, and it's like, well, they're related.
Yeah.
So why? That's very incestual, and I don't like that part.
Yeah.
So I don't get it, man. But yeah, we did have a weird twin fetish going for a while, I think. The other thing is we watched the first Goosebumps movie last night, and it was very enjoyable.
The Jack Black one?
Yeah, the Jack Black one. And it was just like something that really hit my nostalgia itch last night, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was one that I was like, oh, I'm never going to watch this. And then like the reviews came out like, yeah, actually, it's actually pretty good. Because I grew up reading those books, as I'm sure like a lot of people did. And I had heard good things. Like, not that it's, going to blow your mind or anything, but it seems like what it could have been like a quick buck or whatever, like turned out to be like, it's actually a pretty good kids movie.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun one, and it's a good time of the season for it, right? Like Goosebumps, Halloween-y type feels.
Sure.
So we try to watch a ton of these like scary movies or horror, or stupid Halloween type ones, and this was the one we picked for last night, and I found it really fun. And it's something that I missed, right? Because again, it's like kids movie with Jack Black. I was like, I really don't fucking care about this, but then it turned out to be better than I expected, so it was enjoyable.
Cool. I watched a Halloween movie I will recommend to you. And okay. So this is a very interesting. We watched For a High School Slumber Party, which I think I talked about last time. The episode's already out. This is Brian being crazy, kind of. We recorded on Thursday night. The episode came out Friday, and after we recorded, he was also a guest on the Ryan Stick Show, which is a radio show that he's been on a couple times. He had Ryan Stick on recently to talk about the metal horror Halloween movie Trick or Treat. But we talked about this movie Detention, and I think I talked about this briefly last time. Made by the guy Joseph Kahn, who did Bodied. He did Torque, which we will cover on this podcast at some point. This is a movie that I was afraid to watch for so long because I was like, I have such high expectations for what this movie is, and I'm afraid that I'm not going to like it because I built it up too much in my brain. I loved it. This is also the kind of movie that I will say, if you're like 10 minutes in and you or Rachel like, I can't take this movie, like just bail. Like it's not for everyone because it's very meta. It's not over the top, but it's a very specific type of thing. If you're like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, you're not going to like it. Like, it's not for everybody, and I think that's kind of what's cool about it. But I really loved it. The episode was a lot of fun. We had Austin Wolf Southern on. We talked about the movie Bratz, which I had a very nasty letterboxd review of, talking about how bad that was, and Austin loves that movie, and so he kind of trashed me when he and Brian talked about Bratz on Brian's show. We kind of hashed that out a little bit. We buried the Bratchet, as Brian was calling it. We talked about Detention, and it was great. So it's on Pluto, which is the free service with ads if you want to watch it there.
I love Pluto. We watch it all the time. We were just using that to watch. They have a CSI channel, and Rachel's never seen any CSI, and it starts at like in the middle, and it like cuts in New York and Miami, and she's like, "This is so fucking corny," and I was like, "Yes, that was the whole point of it." Like the whole show was just like it was like corny, and then there's like science. They find the guy, and then that's the end of it. It's because they're all like 30-minute episodes too. So
Yeah, so Detention is worth watching, and then again, if you're not on board early, just bail. That's totally fine. But today, this morning, and I'll talk about this more in the email segment because he wrote in an email about it. He had drafted an email and he sent it. But I had a friend and past guest and patron of the show, Dan the Duke Hayden, came over today for a distanced beer on my porch. He brought, and I have the can in front of me, there's a brewery called Hackensack Brewing Company. Have you heard of these or no? Have you heard of this place or no?
I mean, I know what Hackensack is, and so it sounds familiar, but I don't know if it's just because I know what Hackensack is or if I know about the brewery.
It's a city in New Jersey that is near-ish to New York. Dan was telling me that this place almost closed due to quarantine because, Governor Murphy was like, you can't deliver beer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They were so close to shutting down, and then they didn't, and that was good because this beer is delicious. It's in New England IPA. It's called Musket Haze, and we picked it up on the way down here, so I'm sure it was brand new and fresh. Boy, is it good. It is really one of the... Because I haven't been drinking a ton of beers in quarantine, and I haven't had, new, fresh, like, juicy New England IPAs in a while, and, like...
Yeah.
It's so good, so thank you to that. He also, and this is what we're going to cover in the email segment, he delivered the art that he made me, that he has written in before. So I will send you pictures of that, too, a little bit later. But he came over for a couple hours this morning. We talked about movies and video games and whatever. He's doing good. So this is also of note to you, somewhat. He and his wife are going to go, they're going to drop their daughter off at Grandpa's house, and then they're going to get a lobster roll, and they're going to go in a park and eat a lobster roll in a park. And so it just sounds like a lovely overall experience. I know you love your lobster rolls.
Hot, please. Hopefully it's a hot one. Get it Connecticut style, but I don't know if you have the option there. Sometimes you don't. But yes, I'm a huge lobster roll fan.
I will give more about that. But yeah, I was here for a couple hours, listened to some music, talked about a bunch of different stuff. It was great. Good to see Dan.
Awesome.
So without further ado, let's get into the thankful portion of the show. We have a Patreon page, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleinman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, the aforementioned Dan the Duke Hayden, Renato DiDonato, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. First one is the $5 level or above. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
I will give an update because we have an email about it too, but I will give an update on our Patreon poll. But if you are a patron and you have not yet voted on the Lost versus Other TV thing, go do that. We have a couple more votes, and Joe, you can probably figure where we're at with a couple more votes, but we'll get to that when we get to that. We also have an email address here on the show, family@cageclub.me, and Joe, we have 3 emails today.
Okay.
First up, we have from Jenny McMullen, subject line, vote.
What up, Jenny? How are you doing, lady?
She says, hi, guys. Since I can't access Patreon, which I'm not sure why, that seems...
She said she's had this problem before. It was, like, goofy on her phone and stuff, remember?
And Wes said he can't log in either. So I don't know, like, that's not a... Like, there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys, but it's not like we're doing anything to prevent people from logging in, so...
Since I can't access Patreon, I'm submitting my vote by email.
That's fine.
Vote to keep doing Lost, which I felt like, based on our last email, she was going to do.
Yeah, makes sense. Totally.
Just to be honest, I think the other one is way off topic, although does that really matter? Haha. She says, but whichever way it goes, I'll keep listening. Said the rest of my previous email later, Jenny.
Well, thank you, Jenny, and that counts as your vote for Lost. Ding!
Very important. So then I checked, I'm going to check right now again, and we had another person vote. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Jerry. But now we are up to 10 votes total, including Jenny's written by mail, and Joe, 5 and 5. Split right down the middle.
Perfect.
So here's what I'm thinking, and so this is actually a minor update to this episode, is that I did not remember, I should have remembered, that the Season 2 finale is actually a 2-parter. We have another episode to do either way to finish out Season 2, but I think in this case, Ty goes to the runner, kind of? Like, I feel like we can't change it. Unless say, 6 of the next 8. I think we have 8 more people. We have 10 votes, and I think we have 18 patrons at the moment. 5 of 8 is not decisive. So I think, like, if 6 of 8 go to the other idea, then I think we do that. But I think otherwise, to Jenny's point, neither of them really make sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we can change off of what we're doing, so I think that we have to keep going this way. So, like, that's kind of, anticlimactic, but also, this poll has been anticlimactic, right? So...
I was thinking that too, like, Ty has to go to the runner. If we do get a split, I mean, now we're obviously going to get like one vote more for the other thing because that's how this is going to work. Just
Right, but like I think like even one more, just it's not like definitive. Like I think we need to
yeah,
have like a it's like a win by two situation, kind of, right? But like even by two, I don't know. Like it just feels like not
yeah,
one of these is not a slam dunk, right? So
yep, yeah.
we'll
I
see.
agree with you.
We'll find out. But I would imagine the other one we will do after we do Lost. So we have like 70 episodes of Lost. So sometime lap 9 or 10 we will get to the other one. I would imagine. But yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's just the update where it is right now. If you have not yet voted and you're a patron, or if you want to become a patron, go to toofast2forever.com. Vote. In every post I make now, I link the thing. So you can easily find it, easily vote. If you can't, just send in your vote via email, and we will count it in official tally. So it's 5-5 right now, with 8 people still to go. Maria's still out there. She's an undecided voter, so she is.
I told Rachel that. I said, you have some influence here if you want it. And she said, oh, that's cool. But she was also cooking. So she was like literally like hands covered cooking.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like,
Yeah, fair enough. Our next email is from Jerry Robinson. Subject line, update.
okay, what up, Jerry? We need to figure out if he did propose or not. That's what we're trying to think about here.
And that is in here. Okay.
Okay.
Hey guys, unfortunately, I did not propose at Yard House. We went for a birthday lunch. I wanted to this year, but a lot of shit got canceled, including that. But I do want to propose to her next year, Valentine's Day, either at Disneyland or in one of her favorite cities, Monterey. Ooh.
Ooh, I love Monterey. I'm a big fan, actually. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been to Monterey?
No.
Monterey and Carmel. They're like right next to each other.
California, I'm assuming, right? Is that correct?
I'm guessing he's talking about Monterey in California. Wouldn't make sense if anything else. He's like in the Bay Area. That's not far.
I was talking to somebody who lived in San Francisco, and I was like, when I drove cross country, like I did very, very little in the Bay Area. Like I went to an A's game.
Oh man.
I mean, I spent so little time in so many places. Like it just the country is so big, and like I was gone for 7 weeks, but it's like there's a whole lot.
There's a whole lot.
There's a whole lot.
There's a whole lot. I agree with that.
I saw an A's game, and I went to San Francisco to take a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge, and that's all I did basically. So
That's cool.
that's something that I need to. Like I spent a week in California, but there was other stuff I needed to do, and at some point I will go back. But
Monterey's dope. It's really really cool. It's just a cool spot. I took Rachel there. I've been there a couple times now. It's along the shot when you do Route 1 PCH. Yeah, when you do Pacific Coast Highway, and you drive from LA to San Francisco, it's like along there, so it's a lot of fun to go to, I think.
cool. So speaking of traveling, Ileana, her brother, and I are flying to Tennessee for a week next month for a late vacation and finally have more time to rest and be tourists. We last went in March for a cousin's wedding and didn't really have time to tour. Where in Tennessee are you going? I'm wondering if you're going to like
I'm
the
guessing
Nashville
Nashville.
area or the Knoxville area or the Memphis area or somewhere else altogether. So please,
Also
please
true. I'm a fan of Nashville. My friend was just asking me the other day. He was like places that he wanted to go with his wife because it's her birthday coming up. Like he always just like ask me travel questions because like I've been to a bunch of places, right? And he was saying something about Nashville, and I was like, dude, I love Nashville. Oh, if you are going to Nashville, there's this place. It's called Monell's. It used to be that it's like in this like house. Every table seats like 10 or 12, and you
Okay.
just get sat with just whoever's in the line.
So far feels impossible in COVID, but yes, go on.
But like, if you're like a party of 2 and there's like a party of 4 and there's a party of 5, like you're all at one table and it's all you can eat family style meals. Everything comes out, and like every day they have like a different special. Like I think like catfish is Thursday and like whatever, but they always have fried chicken. They always have like some kind of pasta thing, and you just like take a piece, pass to your left, take a piece, pass to your left, and they just come in like huge plates and stuff, and it is awesome. And anything that you want, if everybody eats like 4 pieces of chicken, you just ask them and they'll bring you a whole nother thing of chicken. It's a great place. You might have to get takeout now, but it was one of my favorite meals that I ate in Nashville. Very
Cool.
fun.
Listen up and send us in what city or cities you're going to. Because Tennessee is like, I mean, I don't want to say deceptively big, because I think if you look at a map, you're like, oh shit, it's big. But like, it's big. Like, it's a big.
It is. Yeah.
Like, I think it's like 11 hours or something, diagonal to diagonal. Like, there's a lot. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, exactly. I'm assuming you're going to Nashville though. It feels like a Nashville. Well, Memphis too, dude. I don't know.
Memphis is cool. Knoxville, I had some of the best barbecue I've ever had in my life in Knoxville. So there's a lot of good stuff
And
in
you could
Tennessee.
do the bourbon trail too. So like he could be going just for bourbon. So who knows?
Cool. He says, I'm happy for two more movies and no spin-off, even though they should do a bunch. I agree with Joe 2 being a 2-part movie, and since a lot of the biggest movie franchises have done it, Marvel, Harry Potter, Twilight, to build extra money. Wish they would do a limited series with more of the minor characters. Well, stay tuned.
Spoiler.
That's all I got for now. Be fast, never last.
I hope that Liliana's not listening either, because he's like, I'm going to propose next year on Valentine's Day. She's going to be like, cool.
It's sometimes good to know, right? Kind of, maybe?
Isn't that like something that should be a surprise, kind of? Like, what if he doesn't proposed next year on Valentine's Day and she heard this. It would be really
I
terrifying.
feel like he would know by now if she listens, but maybe not. I don't know.
Not trying to spoil any of this, but I was just thinking about the fun possibilities of like her being like, "What the you said you were gonna fucking propose," and he's like, "How did you know?" And she's like, "I listened to Too Fast." You're like, "Oh wow, okay."
He'd be like, you don't support them on Patreon? Come on, Eliana.
Did you
This
vote
thing's
for
over.
Lost? Did you
Yeah.
vote for Lost?
And our third and final email today from Dan, subject line art delivered. So he sent this email from my porch. He had written it before and then added, I think, one thing to it and sent it before. But here we go. It says, "Hey, Joey, we've been friends for a long time. You've been kind enough to let me have fun as a guest on your shows and supplied me with endless hours of entertainment. I thought it was time to give something back.
Okay.
Over the summer, I started getting back into my art. I made a bunch of chalk art with an American traditional tattoo theme. And since then, I've been creating
fan.
pieces of the same style using construction materials, poster board, and anything I can get my hands on. For you, I have crafted this piece. I have titled This Ain't No 10-Second Race for your love of the Fast and
AKA,
Furious.
boy, do we have a podcast for you? Is that what it's
Well,
called?
I will tell you more about that later.
Okay.
The fact that it is indeed a broken clock. So here I'm going to send you the picture now. So this is a clock that is about 15 inches by 15 inches.
Yeah, this is awesome. Oh my god, this is so cool.
I don't know how he describes it, but there's like a piece of steel that he cut behind there. He drew Dom's charger. He drew the infinity symbol.
It's steel, like riveted steel.
Yeah, I think he was saying he was using it as a door or something, and he just cut this piece from it. That fact that it is indeed a broken clock, and not the infinite time we'll continue this podcast. And last but not least, to the friendship we have. He says, not to get mushy, but friendship is timeless. I feel like I have a lifelong friend in you, good sir. I hope you like it. Says, the clock was broken and in the basement at my job. I cut the interior sheet metal left over from a storm drain cover project. The top is acrylic paint and illustration markers on foam core poster board.
It looks awesome.
He says, you'll notice, I've permanently attached the three hands of the clock to 2:10:10. The hour and minute hands both point at 2, too fast, too forever, and the seconds hand at 10 seconds for those 10 seconds or less.
Oh.
And free.
Oh.
Lastly, you'll notice a small crease in the infinity symbol. I showed the pieces to my daughter, and she smashed it. I thought about remaking it, but then I realized looking at it, I was thinking about family, so I kept it.
Exactly.
I hope you display it proudly in your home, and maybe someday when you and Joe are famous, you can hang it on the wall inside 2F2F Studios. I really enjoyed making it. Your friend,
It's
Dan."
awesome.
So he's like, there's some Easter eggs in here that hopefully you don't find all of, because if you find all of them, it means the clock broke. Like, there's things that he has hidden somewhere. So I'm like looking it over or whatever, and the steel piece that is affixed to the clock, attached with 2 bolts, and I'm just like looking around on the back. He like scribbled his initials, like his artist signature, turning around, like looking at it, and like on the bottom of one of the little bolts, he writes the letters NOS,
Nos.
which is very cool.
Yeah.
On the front, so there's like the little banner.
Yeah.
The I've got nothing but time banner below the car, below the infinity symbol. And if you like tilt it at the right angle underneath that, he wrote backwards so you can see in the reflection, boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's
That's
very,
so
very cool.
And I was saying the same thing. Like, I was like, I hope that this is a good omen that one day there's a 2F2F Studios and this just hangs above us and people come in, they're like, what time is it? And we just say, I got nothing but time.
Yeah.
There's just
I was
no
saying to him that this is exactly the kind of thing that's like what you hang in that kind of, like I was explaining to him because he's catching up. He listened to our episode from season 1 where we went to Universal.
Yeah.
But like that gift shop, there was so much stuff there that we wanted to buy. It's not for house. It's for like the studio kind of thing or whatever, right? So like
he knows that like I have this weird. Do you know? Like I've talked about this before. That like I love one of my favorite things is pictures of like other people's families that are like discarded. And I eventually wanted to fill my house with just pictures of other people's families.
No, you've never said that before. That's weird, but okay.
Come on, didn't you see the weird Indian family that I have in my bathroom?
I don't remember, honestly, and I'm not saying that in the Fast and Furious way. I just literally don't remember.
One of the things that I always ask for from like other people is like if you have like a weird cousin or aunt that is giving away like a really big painting of their family that was like I like the Sears ones. You know, they all dressed up in the same colors, like awkward pictures of your family, right? And like I want like the original prints of all of those. My dream is to hang those around my house of all kinds of different families so that people come in and they're like, hey, who is this? And I'm like, I have no idea.
You gotta start going to like estate sales and stuff.
I know, I want to so bad. They don't need to be expensive, right? Like this isn't worth anything to anyone if it's not your family besides me. One of my coworkers, she gave me a picture of her neighbor's prom picture, and like I have like Matt's prom picture too. Like I like 90s ones that are like very timely and like look of the time. And people will be like, who are all these people? And be like, I don't know. They enjoyed taking these pictures, so I enjoy displaying these pictures.
No wonder you loved Kekopa pics so much.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want. And my ultimate dream is going to be, I want to take a Sears picture with Rachel, with us both wearing just denim overalls and no shirts. Like the prom, like hands over, you know what I mean? Like the arms over top of. And that's the first one I want you to see when you walk through the door. And anyways, that was like just a long thing that like, this is perfect for me. And Dan, you did an excellent job. And I really enjoy it. And I would love to hang this in my house or the 2F2F studios. And I'm glad Joey has it. I will love it by distance through him,
because he says what he wants to make for you. I think what we talked about before is like a Sistine Chapel with Dom and Brian. I think, right?
That would be so cool. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Well, thank you, Dan, for the art again. Thank you for coming over today. It was a great day. And again, just thank you for the art. It's beautiful. Thank you so
beautiful.
Much.
I can't wait till we have a studio to hang it.
And that's all the emails for today. If you want to email in family@cageclub.me, let us know. We will read it on the next episode.
Yeah, please.
Joe, on the streets, Fast and Furious news, and I kind of can't believe that there's more news after our news dump last time.
Yeah.
Jason sent us a thing, and I'm a little skeptical of this. Like, this feels exciting, but I don't know that this is real.
Hey, man, we have to treat everything as real. So Jason said, hey, did you hear about the Fast and Furious limited season produced by Vin Diesel? And I asked him for a link to confirm, because he's tricked us before with April Fool's things. So I wanted to make sure that he had some source here. And he sent us a source that says that Vin Diesel is in talks to make a limited series of Fast and Furious, which is fucking incredible. And it actually kind of tracks, right? It says it'll be on Peacock. Makes sense.
It feels like a weird move to go from being so big in the film franchise to small. Marvel is doing it, but they're still continuing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, because you have like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff that like run concurrently.
Obviously, I would love it, but I don't know. This is from We Got This Covered, which is one of those sites like Screen Rant that just dabbles in news and rumors, of course, because this is not confirmed.
Yeah.
I would love it. I'm wary of this one, and it has nothing to do with Jason, because he's just sending everything he sends, and I appreciate it, because I wouldn't have heard of this otherwise.
Same.
So thank you, Jason, for sending it in, but like, it just feels off-brand almost in a way for the franchise.
Does it though? It feels very on-brand to continue it as long as possible.
But I just think that like if you're going to end after 10 or 11 movies,
it's going to be like live-action Spy Racers, right? This is what we keep saying, and this is what it's going to be. It's not going to be like Dom and Giselle and like Letty are like in a TV series now.
No, I think that's what this is implying.
I think it's going to be more so like, you know, Fast and the Furious presents the new kids. Dom shows up for an episode and Letty shows up for an episode, but like they're not the main characters in this.
Diesel's reportedly putting together a limited series that continues the adventures of Dominic Toretto on the small screen once the movies reach a conclusion. Whether they're using that as a stand-in for the family or not, I don't know. But the way that that's written, it sounds like it's going to be Dom.
This can be young Hercules, young Dom, too, dude. It doesn't have
true.
to be Dom.
That's true.
It could be the backstory. Like, it could be any of these things.
I feel like there's been so much that's been announced because we have 3 more movies to come out, one of which is mostly done. One of which now maybe has Twinkie in it. We've still got Hobbs and Shaw 2, I think, confirmed. There is the Letty Led one that they say, even in this article, it's still coming.
Yes.
Maybe we'll have more Spy Racers. I don't know. But maybe a Crossroads 2 video game. Who knows?
We're all down.
Lots of options.
We're down for Mark me down for everything.
Any other news that you have seen in the last couple of days?
No, that's it. Thanks, Jason, for writing in.
Then let us tarry no further. Let us go to the Ana Lucia Cortez, Leticia Ortiz Lost for a Minute. And this, I apologize in advance for tease of this, of only letting you watch half of the finale.
Oh, I know.
But we are talking about Live Together, Die Alone, Part 1. So when I fired this up last night, like I should have known, so I'm going to partly blame IMDb, but I should have looked a little bit further. But on IMDb, this is only listed as 1 episode. It's listed as a 90-minute episode. I did not click on it to see the runtime. It just said Season 2, Episode 23, Live Together, Die Alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. So there's only the 1 episode, so that's good. Then when I go to watch it last night, Hulu has Episode 23 and Episode 24, and I was like, oh, so we'll do another episode, so that's fine. So on Friday, on our Alita Battle Angel episode day, we will be talking about the actual season finale, the second half of the finale.
Yes.
But Joe, Live Together, Die Alone, Part 1, a Desmond episode.
Yeah.
And I was very excited because I said before that Desmond is one of, if not my favorite character. And we don't really know a lot about him yet where we are, but we are...
This is the thing. I need to use the context clues of, like, you and Rachel knowing someone's name to mean, like, they're probably not going away even when they go away. But, like, I get so distracted by how many people and characters there are that I don't even pick up on you guys doing this.
I didn't want to say this last time, but I will say that, like, Ms. Clue, I didn't remember that she was a character. So, like, that kind of says something about, like, her maybe not being around or whatever, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I need to selfishly pay more attention to that. So the boat shows up. I'm convinced that there's going to be no one on this boat.
Well, it seems at first like there is nobody on the boat.
Yeah, there's nobody on top of the boat. They get to the boat, and then all of a sudden the boat starts shooting at them. They open the door. Desmond's down there, and he's like, fuck, and just waste it.
Wine drunk, baby.
He seems like he was drinking, like, liquor, though, but okay, and just was firing at the top of the boat. Turns out that this is a Desmond episode. He just comes back, and he's like, you guys still pushing the button? We go to a flashback. He has, like, a girlfriend. He was in jail. We don't know why.
Nope, not yet.
He was writing her a bunch of letters, and we have the classic case of dad doesn't approve. And the dad shows up when he gets out of jail, and he's like, here's all the letters you wrote to my daughter. Here's, like, 40 grand. Get the fuck out. And he's like, cool. And just leaves. His plan to, like, win, I guess to win her back, is to race in his sail around the world boat race that is sponsored by her father and win it to show that he's a sailor boy. I don't know.
I don't think it's that as much as, fuck this guy, I'm going to win his... Like, the fact that I am going to win the prize and make him pay me the money that he was going to pay someone is going to, like, make him angry. I think that's the goal here.
Yeah, but he already gave you money. Like, I don't get... Okay, whatever. So, yeah, this is... I guess that's the motivation for me. I have no boner to sail around the world. If somebody was like, you know, like, this is the ultimate revenge against your worst enemy, I'd be like, I'm good not sailing around the world, though. Can I do something else? So he goes, and he's, like, getting a coffee, because he just, like, lands in America, I guess, and he's like, I spent all my money, and who does he run into other than fucking Libby?
Yeah, which even through my hair blindness, I knew who it was.
Yeah, because she's
got, like, red hair.
This one.
Yep.
Yeah, and Libby's like, oh, random stranger I bought a coffee for, would you like a free boat? And he's like, of course I would. He has the boat, and we see that it is the boat that he was sailing on, and it's called the Elizabeth, named after Libby, and she died before she saw that this would have been her fucking boat. And Desmond never met Libby, so Desmond doesn't know that Libby was on the island, right?
Nope.
Damn.
We found out that the boat was her dead husband, who we also didn't know existed.
Yes.
Her dead husband's boat that, named, like you said, named it after her.
While this is going on, they're also playing along with Michael's, only these four and nobody else peoples can come with me to go do the thing, but only these four people, I'm really angry about it situation. Like a bird, like they hear something, a bird flies out, Michael points his gun at the air, starts firing, there's no bullets in it. And Jack's like, oh, man.
Guess I forgot to load that one.
Yeah, damn, you had no bullets, crazy. But Jack already knows, and Saeed and Jack are in on it, and like what's gonna happen is like Saeed's gonna like flank them in the boat. He's taking the Elizabeth, he's gonna sail it to the top of the island and beat them there. Also, he invited Jin to come with him, like as backup, and then Sun was like, I'm pregnant, but I'll go too, and you're like, motherfuckers, like just stay home. But she's like, I'm coming too to be your translator, and he's like, okay. They hear some noise, they just start shooting. Okay, like Kate finally is useful for once and notices.
Well, Kate says there's two people. Like she's been she's like the like
without Locke, she's the tracker.
The number one tracker on the island is Locke,
yep.
And then she's number two. But there's like a gap, like a gulf between the two of them. But there's also seems to be a gulf between her and everybody else. So like she's not nearly like Locke, but she's better than everybody else. And she's like, look, I need to tie my shoe. But Sawyer just like keeps smiling or whatever. There's two people across the river.
We're gonna fire
I'm going to get the drop on them. And he's like, what? And then she just shoots at them, and then they shoot, and he hits and kills a guy.
And I really thought for a minute this was gonna be Jin, and he was gonna kill Jin, and I keep like, fuck, are they really gonna kill Jin right now? And Rachel got mad at me because I made my own storyline. I was like, if we kill Jin right here, then Sun's gonna be upset that she lost a love on the island, and her and Hurley are gonna have to be buds now because they both lost the guy on the island. And what's gonna happen is Hurley's gonna take care of the baby. We're gonna have a whole nother fucking Charlie story of someone taking care of a baby that isn't theirs, and we have to do the whole thing on fucking loop. And she's like, you're making up a side story that has nothing to do with what actually happens. Like, that just wasn't Jin. And I was like, okay. Jack starts yelling, like, Michael, fucking tell us why. And he explains that he needed to only bring these 4 people. He's like, but look, I got a plan, though. And I'm like, you know what? Honestly, at that point, I believe Jack, too. He wouldn't have, like, led them out there and, like, known about it if he didn't have, like, a backup plan. I put a little trust in him there. They're all skeptical, but he definitely did something.
He's also showing these better at things than, like, while they're walking through the jungle, Sawyer sees a baby doll on the ground, like, goes to pick it up. I'm like, dude, why would you ever pick up a baby doll on the ground? And Kate's like, no, don't do that. Like, that's a trap.
Yes.
But, like,
And then
where are you walking near ever picking up a baby doll on the ground on an island where you know there's polar bears? Like, you shot and killed a polar bear. Like, what are you doing? Why are you picking up baby dolls?
you don't do that on the street. That's what I'm saying. Like in like normal life circumstances, if you find shit on the ground, I just walk by it. I'm not picking. I don't know what that is. I don't know where it came from. Who touched it? I'm good. Mind your own fucking business here. And then that's where she's like, oh, we picked one up, and then Jack and I got caught in a net, and he's like, oh, I thought you meant something else by that. And you're like, 70 people on this island have been caught in a net. Like we've seen it over and over again. Charlie's been caught in like 3 different nets himself.
It probably explains why last episode he told Jack that he screwed Ana Lucia, because he did think that Jack had slept with the woman he ostensibly loves, right?
Yeah, but why are you, like, of all the metaphors to use, we got caught in a net together. Like, bro, we've seen people get caught in a net. Like, this is a real thing that happens here. It's not like I'm like, me and that girl got caught in a net together, and you're like, oh, well, Joe's never been caught in a net before, and, like, there's no nets around here, so, like, I get that he's implying something else. Like, no, there's literally nets around on this island. Why would you use, like, why would he use that as the innuendo?
I don't know.
They were literally caught in a net. Sawyer, how dumb are you? So they're coming around on the top of the island. They're in the boat. They see a statue that just has a foot with 4 toes on it. Who the fuck knows what this means? I don't know.
I don't know what's more disquieting, that the rest of the statue is missing, or that it has 4 toes.
Yes, exactly, yeah. We'll figure that out at some point. The main side story is Locke is now firmly on team stop pushing the button. There's no more buttons for him. He was bonered on the button for 3 months. He saw the video, he's done. But Mr. Echo now is like, this is my life's mission, is to push this button. So now he's fighting from the other side. He like goes up to Desmond, he's like, they're still pushing the button, whatever. Mr. Echo's still in there. So they break into the hatch because Echo beats him up when he tries to tell him to not push the button. So he breaks into the hatch and they like lock him out of the hatch so that they can not push the button. And as soon as they get in there and they lock the doors, I'm like, motherfucker, this is a 2-part episode. We're not going to see what happens.
Well, a couple days, you will find out.
Oh, and we see like how Desmond got to the island, and they're like making this guy believe that, like, the guy that we've seen him before, I think.
Yes, he was Saeed's handler or whatever in Iraq. He was the guy who was like making Saeed torture people.
Oh, cool. I didn't get that part. I thought I saw him before, like when Claire was like in the hatch.
No,
he wasn't one of those guys.
No, it was only exclusively or whatever. It was
Saeed's handler. They
Saeed's
gave him the money and said, get on the way. Yes. Okay, that makes sense.
It's still weird that he's here, but...
Yeah. But, like, okay, so we learned that they, like, kind of convinced them that, like, there's a bunch of virus outside. Like, it was spooky for today, right? That there's just virus everywhere and that you can't go outside without a hazmat suit. This is how Desmond arrives in the hatch. He shows them the video, and I guess they're implying that this is how Desmond starts pushing the button for God only knows what reason. The thing that I noticed is the hatch has, like, really new appliances for having such an old computer. The washer and dryer that like Libby and Hugo and everybody was using, like Rose, they're like front load washer and dryers. Like, this is new. So they shipped those recently. But the computer's like fucking MS-DOS over here. So like they're updating shit in the hatch. So as much as they're pretending like these videos have been here since the 80s, appliances are from the 90s at least. So I don't know if this is part of the deal or not, but this is what I'm seeing.
There is the bird that maybe shouts Hurley's name.
Yeah, sorry, Hurley, not Hugo.
His name is Hugo, but they call him Hurley.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Rachel just muttered they're the same person to herself.
Well, just like, James Ford is Sawyer, right? But like,
yes, yeah.
I like that Son is badass now, standing up to Saeed, because he's like, no, I think you misunderstood. I just want Jin. She's like, bro, you need 2 people who know how to sail. I'm coming with you. You also need a translator. I'm coming with you, right? So
yeah, but she's pregnant. Relax. She's going like full Kate right now.
No, but I think it's good. I think she's right, because like if it's Saeed and Jin, like
they can't communicate. Yeah,
Jin's been on a boat like that before, right? Like it did not turn out well for the boat. Not his fault, just like it did not turn out well for the boat. I thought it was very cool in 2000. This is probably airing in spring 2006 to show a guy praying to Allah on TV.
Very true. I agree. Yes.
There is the what did one snowman say to the other, which I think Desmond said to Locke, and he finally gets the answer this time, which is smells like carrots, which I guess is like, because that's what Kelvin was Saeed's handler, who's in the thing now. It's just like, what are the ones, and Desmond's like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know what you mean, but it's just, I guess that's like the code for like that's when your replacement arrived. It's like when somebody knows the answer to that question,
they're the official replacement. Yes.
And then at the very very end, Hurley realizes that when Michael confesses essentially that he had to kill, or he had to let him go because like that's the only way he can get Walt back
Yep.
and whatever. Hurley was like, "So you kill Libby?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I had to." And he's like,
Sorry, man.
"But if you did have time, you still would have killed her." And like I think like that's the I honestly don't remember what happens to Michael. Like that's not a spoiler. Like I'm not saying like he dies. And I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's like the end of I think Hurley and Michael because like how do you come back from that, right? So
Yeah.
and I think that's it. So we have the finale, the actual finale next episode, probably kicking off season 3. So cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But Joe, the only other thing to do before we bring in Nico and Kevo is talk about the Fast and the Furious minute 96 on Green. I'm going for it.
I used to drag here back in high school. That railroad crossing up there is exactly a quarter-mile away from here. On Green, I'm going for it.
So in this minute, Brian gets back to his car and races after Dom. Dom stops at a stoplight. Brian pulls up next to him. The light turns green, and they're off. And we've talked a lot about how these minutes feel like self-contained minutes, which this kind of does. This more feels like a movie trailer almost, like a 1-minute teaser.
Yeah, that works.
Because it like ends as the race begins. Like you can see like not knowing who these people are, seeing them like show up to a stoplight. You know that there's like some kind of history here, but some things have gone wrong, broken bad in some way, right? On Green, I'm going for it. Light turns green. The Fast and Furious coming April 2001.
I think it is in the trailer too, which is, part of it.
Probably. I mean, we'll watch it at some point. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's not a ton going on. Like it's a very character-driven moment. No pun intended on driven. I like the reflection of the cars in the green light, but like I don't know a lot that's happening here.
The green light reflection is a very, very nice artistic touch. One thing that cracked me up, that when you look at Dom parked at the top of the street at the very beginning of the minute, and remember how I was telling you that there's Burger King right there?
Yep.
We're looking at Golden Way.
The church. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of Burger King trash on the street.
Oh, cool.
Like clearly,
very cool.
Clearly, like a Whopper wrapper and like stuff like that. And I just thought that was really funny. They cut out the Burger King, but then also left the trash on the street, like litter. So like, what were you guys doing? I don't know. They're in front of a whole bunch of evergreen shipping containers. And then I have a story about Terminal Way and the light and the race. Okay.
Okay.
In this picture, I show you Terminal Way.
It's where they stop for the stoplight, right? No, this is the end of the race.
This is the end of the race where they jump the train, which is the next minute. But okay, let me explain why.
I also wonder, before we get there, just wondering how much of the next minute is going to be this 10-second race, because there's essentially 0 seconds, right, in this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wondering how many of the next 60 seconds are going to be a 10-second race. More than 10, I'm imagining.
We at least slow motion through the train, so that's going to give
Yeah.
us an extra couple. I was trying to find out where it is. It's definitely this. This is definitely the railroad crossing, right?
Looks like it.
I went to our friend Craig Lieberman's website because he has a very in-depth description of exactly where this is. The moment of near impact takes place on the railroad tracks at Terminal Way and Earl Street. The tracks run parallel to Earl Street and cross Terminal Way at Tuna Street, and that's real. So there's Tuna
Street?
Tuna Street is right there on that street. Very interesting, right?
Very interesting, yep. Mm-hmm.
The train is heading north on these tracks. Fine, that's what we're seeing. That's the part that I showed you. The two cars are heading east on Terminal Way. Also makes sense. Starting around Cannery Street, and this is where it starts to break bad. Cannery Street runs perpendicular to Terminal Way. So he says that they're starting there. It runs parallel to it. They can't start there because they're going parallel with it. So he's being very direct about what he means, but also not using the right words. He talks about like stuff that we'll see in the next one. But his description of it is very strange. So I backed up to go east on Terminal Way to try to get the first light that they are at, right? In this scene.
Yep. Seems like it should be easy enough to do.
Should be. There's no light to the west. There's no other street light. It just goes to the end of the road and turns. Based on where I think it was, I was like looking there, but also they tore down all the buildings on the side. The like Dom is in front of this building that has plants in front of it, right?
Yeah.
And he's on a corner, stopped, waiting for the light. Well, there is no light. All the corners are stop signs, and there's no buildings on a corner anymore. The closest you can get is like a building that would be like 3 car lengths behind Dom.
So do you think it's like movie magic in telling a story, or do you think that they just completely redesigned and redeveloped the area in the last 20 years?
I think that they've just demolished a bunch of shit in the area in the last 20 years. I think Craig Lieberman's very direct description of it is just wrong, but I also think that they've changed a lot of stuff. He says that they start at a street that's parallel to the street that they're on. That's just not. It's impossible.
Gotcha. Okay.
The rest of the stuff he's saying is true. I was saying that he was helpful, but not very helpful. We don't really know where the beginning of this race would be. Also, there's like trucks in the way and stuff like that, but if you back up, you can't see it. Anyways, I gave you where the train crosses, and that's as good as I could do.
So now, with this minute in mind, and I don't know the answer. What do you think in trivia question wise?
I think the most fun thing is about Tuna Street, but that's not fair.
No, correct.
What
What I'm thinking is very easy.
What?
When they're stopped at the stoplight, whose car is on the left?
Or, like, why does Dom know this place? And it's like, he used to drag here back in high school. His dad used to drag here. That's what I was thinking as my easy one, too.
Oh, okay. I like that better. That's better.
Do you like
Okay.
that better?
When Dom and Brian line up for the film's final quarter-mile race, Dom says he knows this area. What history or what connection does he have to the street?
Yes.
He used to drag here in high school, which is the right answer, right?
Yep.
His dad owned a body shop on the street.
Yeah. He used to work on a shipping. He used to work at the docks.
Dommy used to work at the docks. His market and cafe used to be located on the street.
Perfect.
Still kind of easy, but overall, I think we're kind of giving a little bit of mercy. Like, I don't remember at all if we started easily or not, but I feel like we're ending with a couple, not gimmies, but like, hey, we're sorry that this is so brutally difficult.
Also, when you're 100 questions deep, your brain's going to be shot. So they're not even going to be that easy, right? Because, like, some of them are, like, very fucking hard. So, like, you're going to get here and you're going to be like, this one can't be that easy. And you're going to get it wrong. For me, making the quiz, I know that I'm going to get to here and be like, did we really make this that easy? Like, this one's
It's
not.
like reverse Stockholm Syndrome almost.
Exactly, yes.
Minute 96 on green, I'm going for it. We now have 107 total questions. So, oh boy.
Jesus.
A lot of questions.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, Joe, let's take a break. Let us bring in Nico and Kevo, and let's talk about Furious 7. Let's double down on Furious 7.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 138, brought to you by thelovingmemorystore.com. The Loving Memory Store was created so that they could offer unique, one-of-a-kind designs for all the special occasions in your life, like memorials, birthdays, anniversaries, family reunions, and beyond, to customers online. Shout out to thelovingmemorystore.com.
Well, shout out to them, and welcome back to the show, talking Furious 7 today with our Furious friends. We have with us from the Husbands Talking More or Less podcast, Kevo, Risse, and Nico Vasilo. Hello, guys.
Hello. I just watched a 2-hour and 20-minute trailer. I have a lot of feelings.
It feels like we haven't talked forever, and like we've been talking so much lately.
They're all like this now, and I think they've been like this for a little while. Like, it's not a bad thing. I think it's also all action movies, kind of, right?
No, it's not. No, this was a really special, I don't know, I feel like a more self-aware movie franchise. Like if somebody remade the French Connection into like a thriller series just for me, they would have on it in the background Furious 7. And that would be the satire parody soap opera of itself that it is self-awaredly aware of.
This movie has a lot to forgive, considering all of the things it went through during production.
I would say more so than any other movie in the franchise. This is the one that has changed our perception the most. Well, I mean, personally, I guess Joe likes 4 more than he did, but like, this one was always to everybody where Paul passes away. Beautiful send-off at the end.
Manipulative, but, you know, it's their job.
Of course.
You know, in terms of manipulative, I was, I'm the first person to be like, you can take your Nicholas Sparks bullshit and you can drive it off a cliff. I was expecting a lot of, that was the last time we ever got behind the wheel of a car together. We rode off into the sunset and it was beautiful. A few months later, he died of a heart attack or a stroke or something. It definitely wasn't car stuff. And instead, what I got was a lot of, this is Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth telling you it's okay to have feelings. I think that worked out okay.
The journey that we have gone through is we've gone from that manipulation and that it's okay to feel emotions, which you get from the very first viewing, into conversations we've had with guests about this story here and where the franchise goes in 8. You know, I was saying this to you before, offline, Nico, about, and they have denied this. They've said, no, it didn't change the story at all. The story we're going to tell is always going to tell, but, I don't know how your lead passing away in real life doesn't immeasurably alter everything about everything.
It's just the thing that you have to say when you're forced to make these changes and you're trying to draw in an audience. Nobody wants to hear, yes, we compromised our vision. They want to hear, you always planned to do this, but you can absolutely see where the cracks are.
But I feel like possibly with this, with something so, it's not like Paul Walker's like, fuck this, I'm never doing another Fast and Furious movie, you guys are on your own. It's not like they had I feel like there is a way you could go about this and be like, look, honestly, yeah, it messed us up, but we have this vision, we want to honor Paul, we want to be true to the character. I feel like there's a way that this franchise could have spun it in a way that wasn't oh no, it's fine, we're all good, man. It's good.
I think you're asking for a level of transparency that did not exist in film franchise at this point in time.
Yeah, maybe
you're
fair
asking
enough.
for a level of transparency that they would provide us now. Something I saw from a lot of places during COVID was this project is ended because of COVID, but it probably would have ended anyway. But at least we get to say it was COVID. There's been a number of movies and TV shows that have absolutely waved that flag. I'm kind of okay with it, but at the same time, I don't want to say something that is misrepresentative of my feelings. I don't want it to come off mean-spirited, but it's kind of Heath Ledger syndrome.
Okay.
The film was significant and successful to a degree that no film in the franchise had been previously, despite it being a well-known and accepted franchise that had to be rebooted because it got too silly a little earlier. Now it reaches this pinnacle, this 7th movie, oh my goodnessness. There's a lot to be said about how this movie holds itself up. It's almost like at a certain point while making this movie, they were like, this one's for Paul. And I appreciate that, but then you kind of do have to accept that you've compromised your movie in some ways. And that's fine. Do it. Compromise that movie. But don't lie to me.
And I think the issue here, and this is something that we're going to run into maybe, and I think that they did it better. I mean, totally different, but reminiscent, that as Joe and I, maybe, possibly, who knows, continue to watch Lost beyond Season 2, after Season 3, I think there was the writer's strike, and they were able to take a step back and be like, look, we have a vision for the end of the series, these next 3 seasons, they're not going to be 23, 24, 25-hour movies, they're going to be 13, 14, 15 episode, whatever, right? It's going to be a much more condensed, compact, we see the finish line, we're going to work to get there. And I feel that show in particular was one of the first series was no, we want to end before the network wants us to end. If you listen to Damon Lindelof, he wanted to end it after 1 or 2 years. It was just,
hold on.
He wanted out early.
I have to be, I know that people love Lost so much more than me, but I have to kind of trace a timeline of things I can point to in print and visual media that does exactly relate to what we're talking about. Lost was created when Survivor was pitched to ABC. Michael Eisner was in a bad place mentally and passed on it. He then saw Survivor destroy him every week, but then saw that ultimately the first winner, Richard Hatch, was not fulfilling to the audience. So he demanded that Lost be conceived as a scripted Survivor. It went through 11 writers and producers before it hit J.J. Abrams, who they then gave it to in an effort to finish out a contract. He said, I don't want to come up with this on my own, and thumbed through the previous drafts and came across Damon Lindelof's draft. He took a look at it, poked it, and said, these are the things I would add to it. He then said, I am only willing to commit to this show for 3 years. The network had done what was called a mass buy-in of several shows from their own studio, ABC Studios. They commissioned Desperate Housewives, Lost, and Grey's Anatomy. The 3 of them were initially picked up for 3, 5, and 3 seasons respectively. But after the 3 of them became 3 of the largest shows in the world quickly, their contracts were extended to 7, 5, and 5. Then the writer's strike came in. Rather than add episodes because at that point, not that it was failing or anything, but Lost had already seen better number days. They took the seasons and said, you guys start to tank halfway through. You need to do shorter seasons or you have to sacrifice some of your arc. They took the remaining Bible that they had created and they rebroke it. 3 of the writers that left after the second season all said anything you hear about a grand vision is bullshit. We literally were told to go onto the internet and sit on message boards and read what people were saying and throw out anything people said that, like, anything people guessed. It was purgatory from day one, but we were told we had to throw out our entire plan because message boards guessed it. The mystery of Lost is one of those things that just drives me nuts, and I have to wonder if that's the same thing that happened to Fast and Furious. They were told, look, this is your end game, and then they were like, oh god, here are the road bumps. Whether it's people want more films or one of our actors unfortunately left us for that great drag race in the sky. We're never going to really understand how it happened, but like everything I just said about Lost can be traced to books and or video interviews. People work so hard to reshape that narrative, to recontextualize reality, to make good guys of all of the people involved. If you ask a lot of the people that worked on Lost, it was absolutely a hellhole to work on every day.
That's a really interesting perspective. I like that a lot. Thank you.
In the last month or two, Dana Lindelof has come out and talked about the early going before that all happened, and whether or not that all is true, and it seems like it's true, and whatever, the narrative that they crafted at least halfway through was we have a vision, right? And I do think that toward the end of the series, whether or not that was intended, on the fly, or whatever, it points toward a thing. Like 4, 5, and 6, they all point toward a thing, and they get to that thing. And my point about this was not to talk about Lost for 5 minutes, but my point about this was, we are reaching the end. I think for a while now, they had said, I think there was a plan for 10 movies. Like, now it's officially confirmed there are going to be 11 core movies. As of even a couple years ago, there was like, we're going to be like 10. I feel like when you are at movie 7, you have movie 7 written, even if you don't have it confirmed, knowing you have 3 more movies, to use the runway analogy, like you see the end of the runway, I think you're able to craft things, and even if you're not writing screenplays or exact stories or reacting on the fly to like, oh, people really love Jason Statham, like let's write him back in or something, like even with that aside, the point I was trying to make was that you're so close to the end, you're closer to the end ostensibly than the beginning, it's impossible to not totally disrupt things, because even if you haven't had the movies written, Brian fits into it in this way and Dom fits in this way and like whatever, right? Like, and that just all goes out the window. So I don't think it's as maybe manipulative as Lost turned out to be, and I don't think that it's as nonchalant as they have made it seem, but I think that there was probably an end vision and it's all, up in flames.
That's even what I'm trying to say. Like, I completely agree with you. That's what they have to do. But they're gonna lie to us about it because they have to.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't create the mystique of the franchise. That's something that comes up in politics sometimes when a candidate changes their position on something. Oh, well, now they're a flip-flopper. No, they learned and thought better of it. I would rather a movie franchise say, we heard you guys, and we're adjusting accordingly. That makes it sound like the people involved had no vision.
Yes.
Or are incredibly weak-willed.
Yeah, the concept of weakness in an action movie, ick.
So here's what's interesting, and again, I don't want to get too far ahead because we're going to have plenty more time to talk about Fate and Hobbs and Shaw, and then whenever 9 comes out and you guys come back for 9, like we can talk about that, but like 8 is a real divisive movie, and we've come around on 8, and I think 7, Joe and I were very high on, and we're less high on now for different reasons. 8, we were both kind of meh on, and now we like more because of the promise of what's coming in 9. And I feel like whether or not these are all flying by the seat of their pants, or adjusting on the fly, or whatever metaphor you want to use, it's evolving in a way that I think makes these better, possibly. So I guess I want to frame the conversation around shit broke bad in this movie, like in ways that nobody had any control over, right? And like
it was like when 7 first came out, and that was the latest one we had, it was almost like wrong to be critical of it because of the surrounding factors. As we get deeper and we see like what we imagine has changed in the story, that we become more critical of it in a way that's not disrespectful to losing Paul Walker. They definitely had to like change a bunch of shit because this is not where this was going in the beginning.
I sort of look at it the same way that they treated Carrie Fisher in episode 9. I love Carrie. I love Princess Leia. And I am never trying to like bash on them for what they did, but I'm very critical for their use of Leia. I feel like, much like toward the end of this film, where it very much sticks out, like you can frequently tell when it's a Paul Walker body double. I felt like the use of Leia in episode 9 pretty jumbled, and I might have gone in a different direction myself personally, perhaps even recasting the character. I'm not the person who makes these decisions. They were doing what they thought was best and most respectful of this actor who had passed. That's also a factor in thinking about, they did the best they could.
And Kevo said something that actually really fucked me up, which I thought was brilliant. How many lines of Mia, because the only person Mia ever talks to is Brian.
Right.
And if she talks to someone else, it's to Dom about Brian. When Kevo was like, how many of these lines of Mia's do you think were originally meant to be to Brian? I was like, you've blown my mind!
Like so many of the Mia and Dom interactions, whether it's in-person conversations or phone calls, I was just like, a lot of these are probably supposed to be with Brian because they're conversations about Brian.
And the sadder thing that I'm sure you also pieced together or thought about was that by removing Brian from the narrative, you remove Mia, and Jordana Brewster's like, hey, so I guess I'm just not an 8. So, like, she's coming back for 9. They've confirmed she's coming back for 9. In what capacity, we don't know, because, Joe, I don't think she's been in the trailer, right? Like, we haven't seen her.
No.
It's unfortunate that not only did they sort of disrupt the Mia story, again, within the frame of a man passing away, like, it's hard to talk about, but, like, that they disrupted the Mia story, but also Jordana Brewster, the actress, is just like, well, I can't be in the movie anymore, I guess. So, like, that sucks financially and stuff,
because
right?
how do they include Mia in the storyline that's like, okay, Mia's here, but Brian's, like, off.
Okay, no, but Dom was in movies without Letty, so I'm not super concerned that a person is exclusively defined by their love interest. Just because it's a woman doesn't mean anything.
So then how do you retcon, as a creative person, as a storyteller yourself, this movie ends with Brian and Mia and the baby Jack and another baby on the way, happy on the beach somewhere? In what way that doesn't feel like that seems like a stretch? Like, how do you bring Mia back? I'm not saying this is a difficult question, we haven't thought about it, but like, how do you bring Mia back, tear her away from like an idyllic family life without bringing Brian back?
I think it's hard to answer that without having seen the 8th film yet. We don't know what the story is going to be, so we don't really know how she would fit in. I have always felt that Mia is pretty sidelined anyway, so you're just kind of putting that character out of her misery, to be honest. When she was like, I'm pregnant again, I was like, God damn it, women are just baby factories.
Yep.
Like, not to be like, but in a world where the believability factor is about a -3, and I love that about it, actually. The fact that anybody can be anything in this movie franchise. Are you a criminal? Well, now you can be a secret agent. Just believe. I don't know why Brian couldn't be given an opportunity to go deep undercover in a way that would provide coverage for Mia and the kids. He's got to do something for Odin's eye, but it means that no one will ever lay a hand on you or the kids. I promise I'll come back anytime I can. And then she could have stayed in, and they could have always been like, Mia, do you think you get in touch with Brian? No, he's too deep cover right now. Like, not to buy stupidity, but like, if they're just going to ride off into the sunset anyway, why not have him ride off in an active role that plays out a storyline of his looking to belong to something greater, be a protector, protect his family in the ultimate way? He could have become a Mr. Nowhere, and it would have been a great way to graduate the character to another level instead of simply saying, oh, well, he's achieved car nirvana. Bye.
I wonder if they steered away out of respect for him. Not to use the steered metaphor, because they didn't want to immediately bring her back. I don't know. I think the bigger, we don't know if the writers, we don't know if Chris Morgan and everybody want to bring Brian and Mia back, but it feels like the Walker family want Brian to return.
But how could he return? Would they want him recast?
We watched a Paul Walker documentary, and they're very adamant that they want him to come back. Not overtly. Something that I perceived from the film, from the documentary, is that Paul Walker's family was being taken care of quite nicely by Paul Walker. For him to not be in this franchise anymore means that they've kind of lost their taken care of abilities. They're pitching that they want his brother Cody to be a body double for him in subsequent films.
Well, I think Nico's idea for Brian turning into a Mr. Nowhere would possibly feed into that, because then Brian is always wearing sunglasses. That's probably easier to CG to look like Paul
Yeah.
Walker.
Okay, I'm just throwing conjecture out. What are your guys' questions for us about the great trailer, Charlie Brown?
So what did you guys, I mean, aside from thinking it's a trailer, what did you think overall of the movie?
I kind of couldn't believe that this wasn't 2 films. That hour and a half mark, 2 movies, bruh.
Actually, originally, Vin Diesel said in 2011 that what was going to be Fast 6 was split into 2 movies, which resulted in 6, 7.
Well, wait. Oh, well, no. So, I mean, there's also the reverse, the inverse, too. That 6 was 2 movies put together in one. That the whole tank scene
Up to the Tank
was going to be
is
one,
like one movie.
and then the entire World's Longest Runway was another movie, too. So, like, I don't know that they've ever really had a clear sense of, like, where one movie begins and where one ends, right? Like, we talked about Spy Racers as, like, a 4-hour episode or 4-hour story or whatever. Like, the movies are essentially now like a 20-hour, not even in the way that like people criticize, I think, Marvel for, just like we literally don't know where action scenes begin or end.
I don't begrudge you guys for having us watch Spy Racers before 7 for the sake of continuity of the podcast. There is not like a single frame of Spy Racers that isn't just straight from 7.
Yeah.
The one thing that we had wished, I think, that you had known about before Spy Racers, though it doesn't matter, is Mr. Nobody was existed as a character before Ms. Nowhere, right? So like his organization,
Yeah.
whatever it is the same one that she's in. So
Having the movie open up with Letty driving like a badass, it's like they read my
No.
notes.
That is not how the movie opened
Oh,
up.
you're right.
The movie opened up with one of the stupidest sequences I have ever seen in my life. And I turned to Nico and I was like, I'm done.
I grew up a scally lad making hard Brit boy porn for money in my Scotty kit. And now here I am, brother, here's a cross.
Literally picks up a cross as he says it's his cross to bear. Oh my God. The violence and destruction of the hospital sequence was so fucking over the top to be done by one man. It didn't tell me this man is that dangerous. It just made me embarrassed that they thought we would believe this one guy could cause all of this destruction. Because then he doesn't do it by himself for the rest of the movie. He has a team the rest of the movie.
We get to the part where Letty's a badass driving, and
Where
I like
there's
that.
where they're still calling it race wars.
And Iggy Azalea
Yes.
is there, and
Yes.
Iggy Azalea should not be involved in anything called race wars.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't mean to be like on fast forward, but I had trouble understanding where I began and my erection ended. Like when the cars were lovingly hot air ballooning themselves down onto the ground.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
I needed to get that out right away. Okay, to rewind, I don't understand the decision to have Hobbs in this movie at all.
You can't do a movie without him, and I think he was shooting another movie, and I don't remember exactly.
Hercules. He was fresh off of filming Hercules when he started filming Fast 7.
I just don't think you don't have The Rock in your movie. Like, I think even if The Rock gives you a week of shooting, you have The Rock in your movie for a week.
And I think it was very clear that they had him for only like a week of shooting or something. His limited interaction at the beginning and at the end. But like, I'm okay with that. The same way that I am okay if Mia does sort of ride off into the sunset. Everyone can't stay in this life forever. People have a limited amount of adrenaline.
Speaking of not staying in this life forever, I knew they did Han dirty because I saw it happen. I did see the done dirty deed, and then I saw it redone again a minute later.
Oh my God, I'm so glad we can finally move past it.
But you know when you're like, oh man, I'm so thirsty, I need a drink, and your friend is like, here, have mine, and you don't ask what it is, but you assume it's water because it looks like it's in a water bottle, and you take a big swig of it, and it's vodka, and like, you normally love vodka, but not when you think you're getting water on a hot day. Hot vodka on a hot day is ass in your mouth, right?
Yeah.
I specifically feel how dirty done that ending for Han was ass in my mouth. So unimpressive, so forgettable, so understated to the intensity of the film. Han's death was like so immediately erased by the explosion of Dom's house that it made Dom's home a more tragic loss than Han.
I think that was probably on purpose, though, because they understood that they had been dragging out this Han's death thing for so long, so they needed another huge emotional blow for the audience to be occurring simultaneously to really make the tragedy sink in further. What I'm surprised by is why Shaw didn't try taking out all the motherfuckers at his funeral. The guy brags about having no honor and no integrity. So why the fuck did he just do a really bitchy little drive-by? Like, haha, I'm looking at you.
His car was his feather boa, and he did a sassy little come get me shimmy. I specifically thought the dialogue in the funeral sequence was the worst dialogue in this franchise ever.
No.
I did love that the bulletin for extras at Han's funeral, though, was apparently that they were looking for hot, hip, and trendy cool types of all ethnicities between ages 18 and 45.
So basically they're looking for Zoe and Lenny Kravitz to come out and be in this scene.
Yeah.
Okay. But no, dude, the actual, like, look, I get you. You know this franchise better than I do, and I am not trying to come at you. But
No.
there's only going to be one more funeral. His. Ah! I literally would have considered walking out of the film.
For me, the worst exchange of any of the exchanges of dialogue in this franchise occurs in this movie at the end when Brian's like, you can't die, like, no, don't die, don't leave us, and he's like yelling at Dom, and he's like holding him, and then like Dom recovers back to life because Letty tells him that she remembers that they got married. Like, that whole sequence I think is the worst. Like, they had to have like had no script for that.
No, I'm going to challenge one slightly worse bit of dialogue.
My pick for worst dialogue in the series is also in this. I wonder if it's the same one that you're going to challenge with.
Go ahead.
I think it definitely has to be, what are you going to do when you find him? Words haven't been invented yet.
Oh, no, I love that. I love that.
It doesn't mean anything.
It-
I hate when tough guys say
cares?
that. It literally means nothing.
It actually made it because it is such gibberish to the English language, because it is such a malappropriation of the idea it's trying to create. He's so tough that he doesn't have to make sense in his toughness.
No, you're just admitting that you aren't smart enough to know the words that would describe what you're going to do. And those words exist.
For me, the line should have been, I don't know, but I promise somebody I'm not going to miss. That's the line.
Yeah.
Because then he's tying it back into Hobbs, and it's still about honor, and it's still about doing right by your family. It's supposed to be about family and getting revenge for someone you love. It's not just a pummel fest. And that was one of the few times that I was like, yeah, Dom, you just became a street thug. You are not the man who leads this family. You are blinded by your age. Okay, Anakin Carwalker, I understand. Like, it was just such a moment that ruined Dom for me.
My pick for the worst line, and this is something that I say every time we watch this movie, is Ronda Rousey's, thank God you showed up, these parties bore me to death. Which not only makes no sense, like, that's not a pun, it's not a clever thing to say, but her line delivery of it makes it seem like...
Words were new to her when she filmed this.
Yes.
I messaged you guys when I was watching that part of it, and I said, I feel like Ronda Rousey is doing an impression of Nico, doing an impression of Dom in this
But I think that's even giving her too much credit. Like, you know, you called, like, Joe for so long called Gina Carano fake Ronda Rousey. I was like, no, you have to stop doing that. Like, I don't care. Like, call whoever you want, whatever you want, but, like, I need you to, like, stop.
Yeah, no, that's not fair.
Disrespecting Gina Carano specifically.
Fair. I get it, yeah.
Because, like, like, they're both amazing in the MMA ring, but, like, one can act and one can't act.
From her first line when she said, ain't that charming, bitch, I was like, oh, I guess that's Ronda Rousey, and I hate her immediately.
Yeah. Thankfully, she's only in, like, a scene and a half, as opposed to, like, the main one of the main parts of the movie, right? Like Gina Carano was in 6, but, like, God, like, it's still every single time I watch this movie, I'm like, I cannot believe.
So whenever somebody has, so this is a thing I'm famous for saying, and Kevo will call me out on it. Whenever I think somebody looks like their face naturally has some features to it that seem as though, like, in real life, they had been a full screen person and they got squished into widescreen, or vice versa. I refer to it as having a face like a hamburger. I've never had to say this before, but Ronda Rousey has the acting capabilities of a hamburger. I was really stunned that they let that go to screen and they didn't make it inexplicably that she's silent.
Yeah, she should have just not talked.
She should have communicated through grunts and head nods, and I would have been much more okay with it.
I just realized, speaking of hamburgers, that we have either or questions that we did not do. There's also, we have to do our most Letty moment, but let's go back a step, because we get so carried away by Lost and all of this, that we did not ask some of these questions, because we've been 2 episodes of Spy Racers without questions, but now, here we are.
Yeah.
And there's one that I've been waiting for, that I really want to know the answer to. We're going to ask this. So are you two both ready for the either or questions?
Yes.
In this movie, we meet Mr. Nobody, played by Kurt Russell, who we will talk about. This is to go back to a term that you guys taught us in the Spy Racers episode about a clam joke. His clam joke in this movie is still one of my favorite jokes in the entire series. He seems like he's dying, and he says to Dom, "You really got to try the Belgian ale." Like, you kind of know it's coming, and just like the way, and like, you might groan at that, you guys might hate that, I don't know. It is one of my favorite things in any of these movies, just because I love him, and I love that delivery, and I love, like, that's the most important thing in that moment. Like, I love that so much. But the reason I bring that up is because he and Dom are diametrically opposed in one core detail, and it's the beer they drink.
They can't be more different.
They can't be more different. Do you prefer Corona or Belgian ale?
Corona.
I don't drink beer.
No beer. Okay.
But you like limey stuff more than you like weedy stuff. I'm gonna say that if he had to, he'd Corona, but he's not a beer drinker.
Okay, so I'll say no beer.
That's
in parentheses, Corona. Fair enough.
What if it was like a Corona seltzer?
That might be worse. I also hate seltzer.
Makes sense.
You have now seen at the end of 6, they are driving cars onto a plane. In this movie, they jump out of a plane, which we have talked about briefly already. Would you guys rather, if you were behind the wheel of a car, knowing you would be safe either way, would you rather jump a car into a plane or out of a plane?
If I'm promised that I'm not going to die no matter what, I would jump out of a plane.
Yep.
Yeah, out.
I thought your question was going to be, where do you want to see the franchise go next? And I was going to say, submarine torpedo cars! I'm looking forward to submarine torpedo cars. If I don't get them, fuck these movies.
Actually, yeah, because we've done trains, we've done planes. What other things do we have that we can do?
Subterranean ground drills. And water pistol cars, and maybe like really cool steampunk Da Vinci flying machine-y cars.
Subterranean drilling cars, Joe, like just like on Mars in Total Recall, right? The drill.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Got screwed.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to the shorter one because it's the one I want to save. This is an important one for the narrative of our show, and we think we now have an answer sort of definitively, but I still want to know. The crew is gathered around a table. Roman is bragging about how he has saved the world time after time, and he shot that shit out of the sky, Gagao, or whatever, right? And Brian says, "Roman, the only thing I've ever seen you take down is no knees to Nice."
Where the fuck are her knees?
If someone said to you, referred to somebody as no knees to Nice, what do you think that means?
I think she doesn't give head.
She doesn't give head.
Doesn't.
Okay.
Because she does not get down on her knees. She's no knees Denise.
I think she has jelly legs.
She's just an octopus lady.
They bend both ways.
She's like a super giraffe.
I'm into that. We think we have an answer to that because it's apparently maybe British slang or popular in Britain for somebody who goes down on dudes so often that they have carpet burns, like rug burns all over their knees, and they no longer have knees that way.
Oh.
Possibly.
Oh, no, I just say those guys have skid marks.
I mean, either way, it's gross and demeaning of a woman that we don't even get
Yes.
to meet.
Oh, I immediately
Of course.
said guys. Because when I think dirty cocksuckers, I think faggots. So,
Well,
And
okay.
he can leave that in because I'm gay.
Oh, I've censored none of your inflammatory comments, so we're good. We're fine.
To a gay guy.
One more question, then we can talk about the most Letty moment. At the end of this movie, or not the end of the movie, sort of one of the many climaxes of this movie, they are stealing a car from Tower 1 in Abu Dhabi. They need Roman to do what he does best. So, okay, also, side note, every single movie, every single TV show, what we do best is a different thing. In this movie, what we do best, what Roman does best, is shine bright like a diamond. What they need him to do is to distract the room, distract the crowd from knowing that Dom and Brian are in the back stealing a car. Joe and I are pulling a heist, and we say to each of you, I guess in this situation you're separate, I don't know. We need you to distract the crowd. We need you to sing a song, karaoke style, a cappella. What song are you each singing?
I need to be real with you. The person that brought me to this podcast network would only let me say one song. I would agree. When I would get really, really drunk, and I would be
Okay.
at a place called South River Pub, I would repeatedly try to sing All or Nothing by O-Town.
Okay. Nice.
However, it is of note that I am much more well known for my over-the-top jaw shake rendition of I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
Okay.
I go into the ah noise a lot.
I was gonna say, what was the one you sang when you got sick at your bachelor party?
Yeah, it was I Will Always Love You with some changed lyrics. Nothing you could do could get me to sit up in the back seat of the car. I just kept spinning in circles on people. Said friend that connected us, best man of mine, Chris, had to stop me from tipping everyone with $100 bills.
Oh.
And oh man, I was so drunk and I had alcohol poisoning for 2 days. And thank goodness the wedding was 4 days later.
Good.
beautiful.
I regret now, in retrospect, that we came up with this question after Chris was on, because we did not ask him. But what do you think, knowing Chris as well as you do, what song do you think he would
Oh,
sing?
it would be B-52s. He would either do Rock Lobster or Love Shack. That's like the most wonderful question you could ask me. He would do B-52s.
Okay.
He would need a woman there to do it with him, probably my sister Jess, but he would absolutely break out his "If you see a fight inside," like he would have so much fun with it.
Cool. Now, Kevo, what about you? What song would you sing?
What song could you picture Letty singing as that type of character?
I just
Like
don't.
TLC.
I kind of expect you to sing like something legit like Gangsta's Paradise, but something more you. When I try and think of your version of Gangsta's Paradise, it's very the All That theme song. So I don't know, because you're not like a gangsta. You're like, this is, like, I don't know. It's hard because you're not a singing public person. Maybe Tub
No.
Thumping by Chumbawamba, something where you could get away with not really singing.
You're just saying that because it was on Fuller House last night.
No, I'm saying it because you like shouting things.
By the way, someone
That's
wrote
true.
in that we talked about Fuller House for way too long, and the fact that none of us, brought up the fact that Carly does the theme song was kind of blasphemous to all of us, I think. So
Oh, yeah.
we dropped the ball.
Not only that, but Mr. Nobody's assistant in this movie is played by John Brotherton, who was one of the major characters that was introduced for Fuller House.
La 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 la.
He was also the third body double for Paul Walker after his brothers.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, let's talk about Letty. Letty moment. Go.
A person jumping out of their off a bus, grabbing on the spoiler of her car, and being flung to safety. That was the Lettiest goddamn thing I've ever seen.
That's a good one. I think her randomly punching Hector after Race Wars was a very Letty moment. I'm anxious and under pressure right now, and I don't like it, so just swing.
I really liked that moment too, especially because A, that character is returning from the first movie, and B, like, he wasn't even mad like you would expect. He recognizes that he is the one who got in her space, and all he does is laugh and say that she still packs a punch. So I really appreciate the way that that whole scene ultimately played out.
Same. That's why I like that too.
Mine was just before that. It's when, Dom is talking to her about, how much he remembers and how much he loves her, and she leaves because she does not remember herself. And I feel like it's her unwillingness to, like, compromise, and her unwillingness to be like, I get that, like, this is maybe who I am to you or whatever, but I don't know that yet. And I think her frustration and her need to be true to herself, I feel like that is a very Letty moment as well. Just like, if I can't be honest with myself, why am I even here?
I really agree with that because it's at the core of her character. I would also probably add bringing Dom back from the dead is pretty Letty.
Yeah?
She came back from the dead. She brings him back from the dead. She brought her own career back from the dead. She's the copper plumbing of the music industry.
What's her weird Fast Furious power that you gave her?
She's got the shoddy shift. She can do things that no one else can do.
Yeah, there you go. She brings people back to life.
Oh, so she's
Yeah.
like a clutchomancer.
Oh, I like that one too. She brought herself back to life and Dom back to life.
So I have a question from that scene at the end there that I had never thought of before. I feel it feels obvious in retrospect, but also this series has shown no evidence that it ever rewatches the movies. There are so many obvious callbacks that they could do that they just don't do.
Yeah, we get mad about that.
Spoiler alert to both of you, but Dom and Letty are still alive. But I'm wondering here, they have that pact, like you die, I die, and I'm not ready to die yet, so she brings him back to life or whatever. Do we think in 10 or 10-2 or 11 or whatever it's called, do we think that they both die?
They kind of have
Do they
to,
go out
right?
together in a blaze of glory?
Yeah, they have to jump off a building to save Mia's baby, die together. They
and
have
then
to
they
sacrifice
do.
themselves.
And then we see them sitting at a cafe in Paris.
And Mr. Nobody's sipping a cup of coffee and just smiles and just nods and winks, right?
Yeah, I think, but like it's like one of those Bugs Bunny winks, and then the camera zooms in with a black circle on his face.
What
What do you guys think of the introduction of Jason Statham? Not the introduction as much, but like him in the hospital, ostensibly killing an entire hospital full of people who were there to take care of his brother, grenading people in the lobby. Like,
He has too many fucking grenades. It's such a coward's weapon.
One time when I was in the Boy Scouts, I was in a tire going down the Delaware Water Gap River bank thing, and I got separated from my troop. I got so separated, I was by myself for like seriously 45 minutes. I know because I started singing the OBCR of Cats to myself. At the point at which somebody found me and I was in hysterical tears, it was these 20-something Germans on their honeymoon to New York City. They kind of swam with me for a while, just stayed with me till we got to the end of the river. We had all gone way off course or whatever. I was so embarrassed, and I thought when I got turned over to my troop, I was going to have to like drown myself out of shame and stuff that this happened, and that I was so upset. But it turned out like everybody had got... Anyway, the desperation and sadness I felt during floating by myself pales in comparison to how unlikable I found Jason Statham's character by the end of the film.
Well, he's in more.
I really get that, and I have to believe they give me a reason to like him at some point. Because right now, he's a homicidal maniac who has no respect for living creatures.
And is
Yep.
criminally obsessed with his brother to a degree that's creepy.
Yeah, to a degree that definitely belongs in a Lazy Masquerade video. Lazy Masquerade is one of like the YouTube murder dudes, and he has these great videos, and he's like, "These are true stories about people who were killed by their families." And then he tells the story. And so at the end, right? So he'll I'm not even kidding. So at the end of number 4 in like 4 video, like a 4 entry video, he'll be like, "After that, no one ever saw her. The last sighting anyone had of her was her holding the hatchet covered in blood, running into the woods screaming, 'I've got them now.' Hey guys, Lazy here. I hope you survive and connect to the Patreon. You can sponsor my next video." And it is so jarring, but Lazy Masquerade, if you're a murderino, Lazy Masquerade is the shit.
so, okay, so, I mean, there's a lot of things we can't say about both him with his family, the evolution of the character, and we're inching closer toward the reasoning behind Justice for Han. You gotta find yourself becoming right with Jason Statham, because, like, he's a big part of the franchise from here on out.
I mean, I hate Spike till the end of Buffy.
But you understand that he is a big draw for a lot of the audience. And so you make allowances. And frankly, the creative team makes allowances and retconned a bunch of Spike's backstory. And it's probably what they're going to do to Jason Statham to keep him in the franchise. And like, I get it. He is a moneymaker. I still don't like him.
And I don't know how there was room for him. Like, I've been comparing these to the
Okay.
Ocean's movies in terms of how do you get that many fucking big name people into one movie? And I realize it's because a lot of the people in the Fast and Furious movies are just Fast Furious actors at this point.
Yep.
There isn't a lot of, "Hey guys, I'm Jordana Brewster, and thank you for having me on First Look, Maria Menounos."
Yeah, I was gonna say that was your Maria Menounos voice. I'm glad that they were talking in that conversation, because like that's your Maria Menounos voice. I learned that.
It really is. So I find myself a little fascinated by the number of big personalities in these movies. And I think part of what makes them work is that everybody has vaguely the same personality. To be honest with you, everybody has some version of the intense action hero.
Yeah.
I think the movie really turns a point when there's all of those back and forth barbs between Dom and Shaw. At first they smash cars, which is the hottest fucking thing ever.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you play chicken and no one calls chicken.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, when it's with gay chicken, then it just becomes gay sex. So, like, I guess that's gay sex for cars. He's like, "I'm going to beat you with this pipe." Shaw's like, "LOL, I'm going to shoot you, you jackrabbit." I don't even understand how he gets away. That literally makes me think that Mr. Nobody's men are the stupidest people and don't know how to surround a building So then he's just like, I'm going to make you guys an offer you can't refuse. All the powers in the world. They go on their little mini mission, and I'm like, this does not feel like one movie. I don't know where the break, but I guess the break would be after he's like, here's Odin's eye, go after him, like I promised. Like, it all felt too clean. I kept thinking, where's the twist? Where's the, damn, son, oh my god, Mr. Nobody was a robot the whole time.
I think this is getting toward this entire movie as a trailer. Like, there are moments in this that are just... Like, one of the most infuriating things to me in an action movie is the villain's like, I could tell you my entire evil plan. Like, when there's not, like, a twist on that, when it's just,
yes.
like... And I'm going to sort of spoil the end of John Wick here, but, like, one of the coolest parts about the end of John Wick is just, like, he just fucking kills the guy. Like, at the end, he just, like, ends it. He just, like, I don't... Like, this is not... Like, it's an action movie, but it's not an action movie, right? Like, I am a killing machine, and I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
A lot of this movie not only sounds like a trailer, but is like, you thought this was going to be a street fight, you're goddamn right. Like, there's no version of the world where, like, the first time Dom and Shaw meet, they don't kill each other, like, immediately. Like, I know that he maybe wants to make them suffer, make the whole family suffer, but, like, there's no version of the world where, like, that first meeting, or the second meeting, or the third meeting doesn't end with at least one of them dead.
Unless Mystique is in here trying to pull some long con on Wolverine, I'm completely with you. There needs to be some sort of logic-defying component in every part of these films. Because like I said, Mr. Nobody should have had the place surrounded right. So many setups that I kept thinking must lead to something that didn't. The escaping with the $3.4 million car that they destroyed, that like, I don't get why they had to destroy it. Kevo was even like, wait, why did they have to steal it?
Well, I still don't understand why, like, when Ramsey gives the thing to her friend, says take care of it, he then sells it. And, like, why is it in a car? Like, nothing about any of that makes sense, right? Like, it's just...
I think we're coming full circle back to the thing that, like, Paul Walker died in the middle of this film. I think they were making interesting choices to begin with, but then I think that, like, Paul Walker died in the middle of this film, and they're like, let's reconnect these dots in some other way.
Yeah, maybe.
And you have to imagine it affected the spirit of the people who were creating the film as well. To have that kind of loss and to try to have to recover from it, it's a lot.
Well,
yeah.
Kevo made an amazing point to me when we were watching the movie. At the end, when they're standing there on the beach and they're looking thoughtful out into the ocean at not Paul Walker, Dom is like, "You were always my brother. We have always been so close, just like two cars parked in spots next to one another. We even have the same paint job." Like, you know, they really... It was just such an over-the-top moment, but I forgave the manipulation. And Kevo was like, think about it this way. They filmed that after Paul was gone.
Like,
yes.
all of these people are sitting there talking about how happy they are for Brian and that he's retiring. And
Yes.
they're looking at nothing.
I found the heartbreak of that really severe. I'm positing something that makes no sense, and I'm a big theme parks guy, and I know how universally hated the attraction for Fast and Furious is in the Orlando theme parks. I would have given up huge parts of this movie to become an attraction or a VR game or something. Like, whatever disparate pieces they were connecting, it really doesn't feel like one cohesive film. I don't begrudge this movie. It's certainly not my favorite. It's definitely not my least favorite. I don't have the connection to Paul Walker you guys all have. I always kind of thought of him as kind of goofy. I was very sad when he died because, you know, a person that my generation grew up with passed away, but like, it didn't rock me. I don't think I'd ever seen a Paul Walker movie before. I was more upset by Heath Ledger, but even then, I don't think I'd seen a Heath Ledger movie in 5 years. Oh no, Brokeback. I saw Brokeback 1,000 times. You know, we were talking earlier in the conversation about how not to be offensive, and we're not talking about the death of Paul Walker as the thing that ruined this film. We're talking about the subsequent decisions that were made in response to the death of Paul Walker as questionable in regard to the production of the film. Nobody is saying that Paul Walker's death was inconvenient. Paul Walker's death was tragic. They're two different ideas. But the decisions that were made with the footage they had was not necessarily decisions that best suited a film as much as they were decisions that best suited honoring Paul Walker. Now, in terms of honoring Paul Walker, this film was great. Holy shit. But in terms of the 7th installment of what is now an 11 main installment, 16 to 23 installment, bigger franchise, fuck me out in space, whatever it is, there's a difference between successful film and successful homage.
100% agree. That's exactly what I was saying. And like, and the more we watch it, that's the point that we've come to. That, like, you know, when it hit that first time, it's a way different feeling than watching it over and over again. If you can look at it beyond the emotional scope of losing Paul Walker in this film, that you start to find some some kind of flaws, and you have to digest those as well.
And if I had anything else to say about this movie, really, I think it's that this is the first time it feels like the stage is too crowded with Avengers. I mean, say what you want about Endgame. I'm still a pretty big fan. And you can check out the HTML coverage of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you can hear us, be thrilled with it at the time and then be thrilled with it a month later. They found a way to make me very happy with the 2-second cameo I got from 50 people. Don't know how they did it, but they did it. So compliments to the Russos on that. I'm starting to struggle with that in these movies. We're saying they're trailer fodder. If what you're giving me is 2 minutes of story over the course of 20 minutes at a time told through smart lines, I should at least be getting more of some people. I was happy with the amount of Roman, the amount of Tej, but it really did feel like a number of the characters were incidental and very well could have just appeared on car-drivey video screens.
We talk about this a lot. As we keep going, we keep adding people. We know that we're adding, like, Cardi B and John Cena. Like, we're saying that the stage has gotten so big that even in a 2.5-hour movie, that we have to start killing some of these characters off. It feels very crowded, and it keeps growing as opposed to shrinking. If they do that with a split, I think maybe that's why they did Hobbs and Shaw, because it kind of reverts to back to a smaller cast. That might be the direction they have to go, because if not, we have to get rid of some of these guys. The family's too big at this point. And you're right, Endgame does it really well, but in the Fast and Furious, it's we all get kind of equal screen time, and so it feels like nobody gets any screen time.
They can't all be killed. Some of them need to be retired, because when they got rid of one of the few white cast members, they didn't kill him. They retired him out of respect for the actual actor that died. And sure, that's fine. But now you're left with a predominantly POC cast. You can't just kill off a bunch of people of color when you retired the white guy.
What we've said before, and it makes me feel a little icky every time, but I think the obvious person to kill is Roman, but can you just kill the black guy? He's kind of outlived his purpose, and the same thing with Tej. Tej is now a hacker in a world where everybody's a hacker. And
we have Ramsey now, right?
Yeah.
What I will say in terms of the crowdedness is that it doesn't necessarily get good, but I think it's better, if only because the Brian character is gone, right? But Mia is not in 8. Hobbs and Shaw spin off, whether that's theatrics or whether that's because of an actual beef between Vin Diesel and The Rock, who knows what, but they are spun off into their own thing. They add a villain in Fate and in Hobbs and Shaw, but I feel like they are, relatively speaking, sort of thinning the herd a little bit already. It's not a great effect, but I think that this is maybe the crowdest it will ever seem, because this has everybody, right? The only person that Fate has that this does not have is the villain in Fate, right? There's nobody, there's people come up with a little cameo or whatever, but yes, I think it's a right to worry about the crowdedness, and it's something that Joe and I do talk about a lot, like he was saying, but it gets a little bit better.
I'm glad to hear that what the language they're using it's that the main film franchise is coming to a conclusion, because I would maybe just have a bunch of spinoffs. Who cares? Fast Furious presents, because you're just going to make a generic fucking action movie anyway, and I don't mean that offensively, but if you don't make a Fast Furious movie, you're just going to make Mega Fast Super Action Stars Part 1. If you're going to just give me a Jason Statham Rock movie anyway, at least give me some sense of continuity to it, where I can pretend it's about the characters. I have no problem with this.
And I think I would be stunned, sort of, if within a decade of 11 or 10-2 or whatever we're calling it,
Fast X, Furious X.
I would be stunned if within a decade of that we did not get a reboot of sorts. A Young Dom Chronicles or something, where it's either literally the characters in this world continue, or they recast Dom and Brian, everybody, they go from
or you get Spy Racers,
the
live
that's
action
what I mean.
Spy
Yes,
Racers
it's
version.
one or the other. It's a new core, not wildly dissimilar to how Endgame kind of ended things, but didn't actually end things, right? So
you gotta Yelena Belova some of your Tashas. You gotta Nat. Sorry, she's Nat in this fucking universe. God, I hate that.
Widow?
Yeah, Yelena Belova is the new character that they're introducing, played by the actress I don't know the name
Florence
of.
Pugh, my lady.
Yes, she is supposedly she's replacing Nat in the Avengers universe, of sorts.
Which I'm okay with. And, at some point, Falcon will probably become Cap. It's the nature of all things, right? Nothing can ever die. It just gets rebooted and remade. Any other thoughts that you had? Because all the major characters and everything that popped up, I think we covered.
I have to admit this. I don't think it was a long time coming, but I have to admit this. On this watch, I almost found Roman insufferable.
Ooh.
And I'm sorry, but just this specific watch through, like, I was in a good mood. I was watching the movie. I was having fun. Just maybe it's you planting the seed, the inception of it, or what. He was just a little too much this watch.
I mean, it's taken
No, I get it.
like 100 episodes since I first complained about Roman, but you are finally on my team now. Okay, I like it.
I'm not firmly on the team. I'm just saying, like, this watch of this one, I was like, okay, Roman. Like, we were at the scene with the No Knees Denise and, like, him, blow, shot it out of the sky, whatever. And I was like, just stop.
I'm with you in a lot of ways on this because now she's an anti-Semitic monster, but before she was a living nightmare, Roseanne Barr was creating art that reflected society in an important way.
Yep.
During the course of that, this capable singer, actually she's a very good singer, appeared at a sporting event and sang the national anthem, but instead of singing it in her true voice, she sang it as Roseanne, the character from the TV show. And that kind of seriously damaged her career for quite a while because it was defaming the national anthem. It didn't appear as art. Tyrese should have started singing songs by his black male contemporaries that he was mistaken for and been putting on a show and at the end been like, that was me, Luther Vandross, and like ran off. And like they should have celebrated Tyrese's incredible abilities instead of making everything about the character farcical. He represents a lightness. He represents a boyishness that doesn't really exist in this world, and I like that because Brian's not boyish. Brian is so put upon. Oh my God. When Sean showed up, I was like, that guy is seriously 5 years older. And Kevo goes, he's 10 years older. And I was like, looks it. They do not have any sense of age and continuity in this franchise.
No.
But, best laid plans of Mice and Men, they don't always understand how to play up the quality of their cast. They could have done so much with the ending of this movie exploring Letty, quote unquote, died. She doesn't want to see that happen to Brian. She wants Brian to get out. We could have explored that. Roman, I feel the worst for Roman, who actually really loved Brian like family before the rest of them did. I feel really bad for him, and he didn't get anything because it's Dom's movie. They found some ways to take what could have been a more moving montage and maybe a little bit make it feel like a CW show playing out with Vitamin C's graduation. La 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 la, drive off. Like it was really hollow in some ways because it should have been about all of them reacting to Brian. Because I understand how Dom feels. He's stoic. He's powerful. I don't need to hear him say what I know. Like they could have seriously nodded each other. Just nodded at the light or at the stop sign. And if they nodded and went off in different directions, I would have been like, seriously, like, guys, I'm crying and I don't want anybody to see it. I would have been so moved by that. But instead, this sort of, after that summer, I never saw Winnie again. I heard she got married. Like, I didn't need that!
I don't mind that. Like, and again, that might just be the inherent Stockholm syndrome that we're in, but like, it feels like something that Vin wanted to do, right? Like, it feels like something that is true to both the character and the actor.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. But he's also right that you just needed a nod and we're good. We got what happened. Everybody in the theater knows.
Sure.
Everybody knows Paul Walker died.
Like, literally everyone
But
knew.
like, to the point we've been making all, like, this movie is not about subtlety. This franchise is not about subtlety. Like, you don't just nod here.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the conversation we've been having about Roman and about over stuff with characters and how he just is farcical. Like, when you have to struggle for screen time with a dozen other actors, when it's Toretto's 13 or whatever, right? Like, you have to be caricatures of yourself because you have to be the funny one, the tech one, even if it is a tech one, right? Like, there's a reason it's lazy characterization because it kind of has to be, right? So.
And you're also saying everybody knows Paul Walker died, but now it's 7 years since Paul passed and 5 years since this movie came out. So there's a lot more distance than perhaps when the film first came out. And that's something they need to factor in when they're producing this.
That's true.
Longevity.
Which I don't think that they did. You're right.
No, I think that's why they did it this way, though. I do think they factored it in. I think that's
Really?
why they played it up, because it points to this is the one where Paul Walker died. People who are watching these movies casually are not looking at the years. People aren't looking at this first one came out in 2001, the one where Paul Walker died came out in 2015. Like, people don't remember those things, so they needed to do things in this movie to help clue the audience in for people who are now watching it 5 years later.
When Joe and I talk about this one, we talk about, like, when we talk about 5, it's the one in Rio. Like, we just call it the one in Rio or the one with the safe. And 6 is the world's longest runway. And this is the one where Paul dies. Like, it's just, like, that's just what this is in the grander context. So, like, whatever they were trying to do to contextualize this, I think, I also know that we are not the target market. Like, we're not, like, the regular demographic for, like, people who watch or talk about these movies. Like, we are a very unhealthy subset or niche, right? But, like, this is just the one where Paul dies.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about this? Characters, moments, favorite parts, least favorite parts?
It feels just a lot like they are trying to say, not only are we a franchise, but we're a format. And you just need to be careful with how formatty you make your format. Bly Manor managed to tie into the format of Hill House, and even like some episode beats were identical, but it still felt like its own show. When it's episodic like this, you run the risk of some homogenization that bleeds out the personality and individuality of the films in exchange for sort of the thing that plagued The Matrix, where it all just felt like, I understand it, and now we blew it up.
Interesting. Yeah.
I have 3 things. The part where Hobbs hulks out of his cast.
Yep.
That was erotic.
Yeah, I was worried it would feel too extra, but I was like, nah, it's fine. That's cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I forget the exact context of who he was talking to, who said they didn't have a gun. And Dom says, gun? We've got a whole city. And I wrote in all caps, the city of Los Angeles is not a weapon, Dom.
Fair point.
I'm Dom, and I've got a dick like a sack of potatoes.
They talk about how much they love this city. Look how much fucking damage you just did to it. You don't love this city. Motherfuckers. I did like the scene where Brian's fighting his guy, though, and he finds that little cart. I was like, oh, yay, Brian found wheels. He's gonna be fine because he has wheels now.
And as long as he can access a vehicle, he can unlock the Fast Force, and he rides the Fast Force right out of the film.
What did you think of him in his minivan? Were you at all fooled by that reveal?
Oh, was that a review?
A reveal might be a strong word.
No, but now I get what you mean. Like, I think part of it, though, is like, because I don't want to say it disparagingly, because I don't mean it disparagingly. These characters are Legos. And when you have a Lego set and you want to put extra characters in, because when you were growing up, Lego sets only came with like 2 characters.
Yep.
If you want some other characters to appear, you just repurpose Legos from some other sets. That means they get new personalities every time they show up, even though they're familiar faces with the same names. And no. So, like, you could tell me that they were all secretly working at a car wash for a while because they were hoping that the world's best car would just appear, and I would just be fine with it.
Fair?
You guys want to play some games?
Yes.
So the first up, this ain't no 10-second race, a.k.a. boy do we have a podcast for you. Last episode, I found B, hashtag PFYA 2020, at rookie_99, Spy Racer Season 2 on Netflix. Let's go! Like, seriously gonna go watch it in vroom vroom. GIF of magnitude saying pop pop. Boy do we have a podcast for you. Also, we love magnitude so much. Nothing. Of course not. I'm bad at this game.
Oh.
Joe, you found Caro at Caro Bucks with a whole tweet thread of everything Caro was watching in Spy Racers. Boy, do we have a podcast and 3 episodes for you. Nothing. Thought that would have been a slam dunk. Nothing. Nico, you found Marcon Carne at Vert_Viper watching the first Fast and Furious right now, and the acting is still so funny. I love this shit. This is our play-by-play for the first movie, too, because there's a thread. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Nothing. Over 3.
Come on.
Kevo, you found E at Creative Kahid. Tony's a terrible leader, LOL. Like, second episode, he got them chased by the police and stuck in the damn jungle when they should have got back to the highway. Let Echo lead. Hashtag Spy Racers. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Let's get it started. Hashtag Let Echo lead. Nothing. 0 for 4.
What a bummer.
Brutal.
Damn.
So I'm going to look at Nico's.
This one year at the Grammys, it was, I think, our 10th grade, so 2001 to 2002. India Ari was nominated for more Grammys than everybody else, and then she didn't win any.
Ooh.
That's what that felt like.
Nico, do you have a preference between which one of these is for you, which one of these is for Kevo?
The first one is for Kevo, the second one is for moi.
Cool. All right, so Kevo found Sandy E at Sandy. It's never goodbye. Crying emoji. Hashtag Furious 7. Hashtag Me Familia. Hashtag FX, because the movie's on FX. and it's a picture she took of her TV vertically of Paul from his car. I'm just going to do crying emojis, and then boy, do we have a podcast.
You're amazing.
Perfect. That was the way to do it.
Nico, you found Huntress, and then a bunch of hearts and a bat in the middle, at Batman's Huntress. Fast and Furious binge continues. Hashtag Furious 7. I was so happy when Jason Statham showed up at the end of 6. I had actual tears. I always said I wished he could be in the FF franchise, and then he came back, and back again, and again. I just love these movies, and a gif of him turning around. Boy, do we have a podcast.
For you.
Girl, do I get it. He is physical perfection. I mean, he is...
Okay, so hold on, wait. I need to transcribe this. Girl,
he is a...
do we get it? He is physical perfection. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
That was... You nailed it.
It is between him and Vin Diesel, where my dick just doesn't know what to do.
I mean, I would imagine just get hard, right? Like, it knows what to do.
No, it wants to go out and buy a honey glazed ham and put it in the oven at 375. Like, it becomes so overwhelmed, it doesn't know what to do.
That sounded delicious and erotic at the same time.
You're very welcome.
I found... So this is a little bit of a thread. Spooky Vimo at Team Treat at CVimo12 says, can you guys give some good animes to watch? I only have access to the ones on Netflix, so can you recommend some animes from there? And Sour Lux says, Shield Hero. Spooky Vimo says it's not on Netflix in the USA. Sour Lux then says, is the one I'm responding to. The next tweet's a little sad. Sour Lux says, oh, Netflix, try Spy Racers. That show intense AF, LMAO. And Spooky Vimo says, my parents wouldn't let me.
Oh!
What? This person is too young for our show, Joey. Don't do it.
No, I'm not responding to CVimo. I'm responding to Sour Lux. Because Sour Lux loves that show intense AF, LMAO.
How are you too young for Spy Racers? How old is this person?
I don't know, man.
And he's on Twitter.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people on my show who recently joined X's for Podcast, Josh, asleep at the wheel at asleepatthewheel.com. The guy's hysterically brilliant.
WEIL.
WEIL, absolutely. Thank you for that. He cracks me up when he talks about his kids because his kids are amazing and he's a great dad. They're like 5 and 7. He was like, yeah, my kids watched the first season of Spy Racers or the first episode or something. I was like, oh, that's cool. He's like, yeah, maybe they'll get back to it at some point or something, maybe. And I was like, a 5-year-old called it crappy.
We've had that experience here too. One of our listeners was like, we were like, is this for kids? And he's like, I tried to ask my son if he wanted to watch it. And he was like, Dad, can we stop watching that and never watch it again? And we were like,
Mega burn.
It's not for you either. Yeah.
All right, Joe, read your Terry Ka tweet.
Okay, this is from Shmoo, fingers crossed, @ Terry Ka. I haven't watched 1 through 7 movies of Fast and the Furious, and I jumped right to Fate of the Furious. I need somebody to watch them with me before Fast and Furious 9 comes out, and they already got a trailer to it. Mind blown,
worried, crying,
disgruntled face.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say. We're here for you. Watch them with us.
Perfect. That was my thought
process. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Watch them with us. We got you. We have a whole family here of people.
What if you called them like a movie ride-along?
Yeah, ride-along. Yeah,
we had a ride-along lap. Yeah, I mean, ride or die. You know I got a ride or die. How about you just ride this time? All right, one more game. Dude, what's my car?
Dude, what's my car? What's your car, dude?
Okay.
I'm assuming you guys want to play with Joe again, but I will offer the same opportunity every time. Do you want to help me give clues or guess clues?
I mean, Joey, there's nothing more I would love to do than take it from you alongside Joe as I cluelessly guess on.
Ooh.
So,
okay.
Come on, fill my tank.
All right, we're going to go to the oldest one. It's from Hector. Shout out, Hector. Hector sends in a car picture from June. Subject line, hunting for a car pick. Hey, Joey, he's got a good car pick for y'all. I follow a YouTuber, TJ Hunt, and he builds cool and crazy cars. This car is one of the dopest ones. Body kit's an actual racing kit used by the manufacturer. Something I'm going to leave out because I think it is the name of the car. Okay. He was able to buy one from a friend that has a mutual friend that works for the company. He built it for, I think I'm going to omit in case it's a spoiler, and it looks phenomenal. Unfortunately, he sold it to someone that broke it down in order to be stock again. Oof. However, he failed. The car is junk. Ugh. Here it is. Gotta go. Stay fast, stay fierce. I feel like when you're going to break down a thing of beauty, like it's karmic justice that it gets fucked up.
Don't buy a car that's modded to be like, I want to make it stock again. That's weird. Okay.
So it is Italian.
Okay.
And it is a beautiful emerald green.
That helps. Thank you.
Nico, Kevo, do you guys want to, Kobe, take a shot in the dark here? Call your shot from downtown.
It's a Maserati Jade Serpent.
It's a potato.
It's a potato.
Yes, it's a jade potato.
I would say you are both equally correct, which is something that
Okay.
that feels impossible almost, but equally correct.
The power. Okay.
It is very, very, very low profile. Like, there's probably about 3 inches off the ground. Like, this feels like the kind of car, I think, Nico,
Okay.
that you talked about recently, like your neighbor down the street. I think this was you, right?
Yeah, who has to like get out of his car, take the shit off, rise it up, pull up into the driveway, put it
Yeah.
back on, readjust the
yeah.
car. Oh my god, I couldn't live.
That kind of shit. There is a sticker on the windshield, or like, a decal on the windshield that says Toyo Tires, so he's representing. I don't know that they are Toyo Tires, but the tires are beautiful. They got the chrome rims. They're beautiful.
Well, that's not the tires, but yeah.
Well, I
that's
mean,
the
I
rims.
can't tell the tires at all, but the rims themselves are, the tire area is beautiful.
Have I ever heard of this Italian car maker?
Yeah. Yes.
Is it a Ferrari?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Is it a Ferrari GTX?
No, but you're
Ooh,
very
no.
close.
Is it is it a Ferrari TCBY? Is it a
You're getting
Ferrari? Okay, GTS.
No, but you're closer, sort of, but not quite.
Wow.
GT7.
Even closer.
Okay, so
What is the
Okay,
what is
okay.
the number that looks like an S?
an
5.
8. GT8.
No, neither of those actually. Five is the right answer, but that's not the number I'm trying to get him to guess.
Which is the number that most looks like an S? It's 5, but that's wrong.
Well, I realized that was the wrong question to ask. I shouldn't have asked that question, but
An 8 and a 5 were both correct answers to that
I
question.
would say
and they were both
it's
somehow wrong.
as correct as the 8.
A 2? Is it a 2?
No.
That's a Z.
I don't know any more letters.
Well, we're not looking for letters now. We're looking for numbers. So let's hit it with numbers.
Okay.
It is very sporty. It has a big spoiler on the back. It has
Is it an F40 again?
no.
But is the GT right?
Yes, but it's okay. So it's Ferrari, then some numbers, then GT, then something else.
350 GT?
No, I don't know what these numbers refer to. It's
Okay.
I don't know how to. They're just numbers. It's a
Good.
Ferrari 458 GT3.
Ooh.
A beautiful.
Look how close I got. I'm
You were
amazing.
damn close. You did really great.
And
I'm
also,
very proud of you. That was very great.
Potato's not
Thanks,
too
guys.
far off.
No, potato's pretty close. This is
Thank
very
you.
potato.
Wait, I don't
It's
understand.
Italian. I should have gone with pasta.
I don't understand how.
Gnocchi. Do like a nice in between.
Oh yeah, because you're very Italian.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
Giuseppe.
don't be
Giuseppe.
sorry. Why would you be sorry about being very Italian?
No, because you were like,
1901.
because you're very Italian. That's why you said gnocchi. I was like,
Oh,
Well,
you
no, because you
fucking
said it
idiot.
right. Like, I should say Cuba because that's how my family says it. But, like, I'm a little too white looking, so I kind of go with Cuba. And, like, I still try and hit it, like, a little bit hard, like Cuba. But, like, I could say, like, Cuba, but, like, I shouldn't say Cuba because then I sound a little ridiculous. But, like, if I was like, gnocchi, it would sound ridiculous, right? It's like when Jonah says, I can't say it, but Jonah says, like, mozzarella, like, he's, like, knitting me an
Mutz.
Italian sweater
Mutz.
around my body. He says it so beautifully.
Gabagool.
And I can't even come close. Okay, I did not ever know that gabagool was a thing until I started watching cooking shows, and I was like, it needs a new name. It sounds like a
Capicola.
talkative
It's
ghost.
not gabagool. It's capicola.
Gabagool.
It sounds like a talkative ghost. It's gabagool.
Oh my god! So guys, I grew up. I was Italian. We had I lived
were
in the
Italian,
Italian
you know,
neighborhood
he
in
was
Pittsburgh.
Italian.
I converted, but at the time, so I lived in the Italian neighborhood in Pittsburgh, and I only thought that gabagool was like a thing on Sopranos. Multiple times in my life living in Connecticut, I've heard people unironically order gabagool at a deli, and it blows my fucking mind every time. Like, I get so excited, and like I start like hitting Rachel, like, Rachel, did you hear it? Did you hear it? Did you hear it? He said it. He really said.
Some prosciutto, some gabagool, some gabagool. Come on.
We're also Greek, and so when I hear people order a gyro, or tzatziki sauce, I become
Oh my god.
obsessively itchy and want to throw up.
What would you guys like to plug aside from your heritages?
Well, you guys can find us making our shows over on Cage Club. Oh, here on Cage Club. X is for Podcast, a weekly review of all things X-Men, as well as HTML, our deep dive into nerd culture.
Cool.
You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at Nico Action, NicoAction.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Kevo Reilly, Kevoreally.
Very, very cool. I like that on the most recent episode of X's for Podcast, which is now 2 episodes ago. You guys did the Twitter handles at the top. It's like, oh yeah, why bury this 2 hours into the episode?
Yeah.
Also, if you guys want to go deeper than any other comic podcast I've ever heard, a 2-hour X's for Podcast about the X-Men Handbook? What's it called?
It's the Zaso Hotmu.
Yeah.
It's the X of Swords official handbook of the Marvel Universe. It's the Zaso Hotmu.
And also, we are over there, Kevo, trying to keep us all sane as we go through the Fantastic Force.html, which I don't know how you make these coherent episodes because it feels like they're fever dreams when we record them, but, we get through them somehow.
It's amazing how cohesive and coherent you can make things if you cut out 2/3 of what I say.
Good to know. Good to know before I start editing this episode. Very important. But cool, thank you both for joining us once again. You will be back in 2 weeks.
Seriously.
You guys have been spared next week, although next week is... Wait, no, this week. Tomorrow. Tomorrow night is our panel. Are there any other updates? Because we've talked about the schedule changes, the date changes, everything like that. But Nico, Kevo, anything we need to know? Any updates to the panel?
No, just that the amazing people at ReadPop and NYCC have made this possible. It's going to be a lot of fun. We like to keep it light and easy. It's 30 fast minutes. You'd be amazed how quickly it goes. So you want to get in there at 7 o'clock. You can actually jump onto the scheduled recording page in advance. So you can be queued up at 6:55 to get to enjoy all the fun. Ooh. Do remember that it's Eastern Standard Time. So if you're not living on the East Coast, then you probably need to adjust it by an hour to 3 and keep that in mind as well.
Cool.
Perfect. Thank you.
The panel will live on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, right? For the New York Comic Con YouTube channel.
In furiousitude.
Very, very cool.
Yes, just say yes. As Kevo says yes. Yes, it is yes.
Record ding dong. Joe, on Friday, we are beginning our 3-episode stretch of Robert Rodriguez movies. We are kicking off with Alita Battle Angel, which is one of his, if not his most recent movie. I am very, very excited about that because I really enjoyed that movie.
You've confused the fuck out of me with these Robert Rodriguez movies in a Michelle Rodriguez lap.
I get it, but also, don't be racist.
I'm not. I'm just saying it's too similar, and I keep trying to find connections between them.
He can't help that he's a gabagool.
There, so.
You gotta be nice to him.
I can't help it that I'm a gabagool. Yes, exactly.
For all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFast2Forever, or at TooFast2Forever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Come back on Friday for Alita Battle Angel, and check out our Patreon page at TooFast2Forever.com. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
And that was Nico Vasilo and Kevo Risse of Husbands Talking More or Less, and we'll tell you all about it
when we see